it's important to keep in mind what's going on within Activision Blizzard regarding ongoing allegations about the work culture. The ongoing lawsuit from the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing against the company is over reported toxic workplace culture. The bulk of this suit focuses on violations of the state's civil rights and equal pay laws, specifically regarding the treatment of women and other marginalized groups. To learn more about the proceedings thus far, including details listed in the lawsuit against Activision Blizzard, please check out the link in the description below. Is it that time already? What time is it? You guys have the time?
12:17.
Oh! It is time for another Game Informer show. Welcome, everybody, to the Game Informer show, a weekly video game podcast releasing every Thursday. I am your host, Alex Stadnik. And as always, I'm honored, but I'm not joined by Alex Van Aken, at least right now. He's, nope, was going to make a Rainbow Six quarantine joke. That's not going to land.
You're going to say he's in quarantine, which... That's vastly.
I'm not. I picked Super Seducer last week on the show. I'm not going to get canceled any more than I'm sure.
He's too busy getting seduced.
Yeah, sure. By his wife, because he's a married man. He'll be back later, folks. I promise. We're going to talk a little Rainbow Six later in the show here. But right now, you can join us for each episode as we're joined by a rotating cast of GI editors and special guests from around the industry to break down the latest news, reviews, and big man swag your eyes and ears can handle. Today, pretty calm week, right? Nothing crazy. Nothing historic happened. No. Wrong, I say to you, because this week we're breaking down Xbox and Activision. We're talking about Nobody Saves the World, Pupperazzi, so much more. But first, let's introduce our panel. We have the Infernape of indie game. Jill Grote in the building. I was trying to think of an I word on the fly.
I really appreciate it. I was like, what's my I word going to be? And you came in, and I appreciate it. It's good. It's good work. Go.
Great Pokemon. One of the best from that generation, if I dare say so myself.
Sure.
And then the man who's always reaching. Is it always climbing or always reaching? Reaching until he hits the sun, until he meets God himself. Marcus Stewart in the building. Hello,
God. I've made it. You're shorter than I thought you'd be.
You seen that family? Never mind. Then of course, John Carson in the building. Hi. The king of late night. Hello. I've seen your face a lot.
Yeah, it's been, we've just been talking a lot this week about nothing.
Nothing in particular.
Just casual conversations about video games. Nothing in particular.
Ooh, maybe a little just chatting show idea there. Chatting. Would you say casual conversations about video
conversations? Games? Yeah, about video games. It rolls off the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
There
nice fireside chat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you all for joining me. All kidding aside, some historic news happened this week in the world of video games. We're just going to jump right into the topic of the show / the news of the week. And that, friends, is that Xbox freaking bought Activision. What we all were expecting heading into 2022, of course.
Yes. Had it on my bingo board.
Yeah, mark it right off.
Right in the middle. It was the center space, actually. It was bound to happen.
You should win, part of that $70 billion then, if you guess that. Or that's insider trading. Maybe not. But, so let's get right into it. If you've missed some of the news, Microsoft went on a little spending spree, right? And we have the news story pulled up here from our own Wes LeBlanc, the news hound, and it says, Microsoft announced that it has acquired Activision Blizzard, which still doesn't sound real, the studio behind franchises like Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, and more. The deal is worth $68.7 billion, which is significantly more than the $7.5 billion Microsoft spent on its acquisition of Bethesda back in 2020. Much longer ago, not just less than 2 years at this point.
Inflation's crazy. It's
it's out of control.
It is up 7%. I guess this is what they meant. For more context, Take-Two announced just last week one of the most expensive acquisitions in gaming history when it revealed it was buying Zynga for nearly $13 billion. Microsoft was like, hold my beer. I got you guys. Let's get this going. So 70 billion. John, I know we talked about this early in the week, but that's so Microsoft bought Minecraft for what, 2.5 bill?
Something like that, yeah.
Right. I think Disney bought all of Fox for what?
That was 71.
Yeah, so just like a shade above. But they bought all of Star Wars for 4 billion, right?
Before. Yeah.
Yeah, or Lucasfilm as a whole.
Yeah, Lucasfilms. Yeah.
Oh,
so
sorry,
like
right.
Indiana Jones and
Steven Spielberg, the whole thing.
A deal, really.
Willow.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, they're making a new TV series, so yeah, they're getting their money's worth out of Willow.
There you go. So, that's just bonkers when you put in comparison to this. So I guess we've heard a lot from John and myself on the subject. If you've been following the GI Twitch channel or YouTube channel, Jill, I'm curious, what do you think about all this, this spending, getting, Microsoft bringing in a huge publisher, the publisher for a while?
So first of all, they could have picked like maybe today to drop the news, because coming back from a long weekend and like waking up and seeing this, I'm just like, I am reading this incorrectly. There is no way that Activision Blizzard has been acquired by Microsoft. And then it sinks in and you run around screaming on fire for a little bit. That's how you deal.
That was my
I must have
morning.
been really worried about you for a little bit.
And it's just like, this isn't the first time we've had this sort of astounding acquisition news from Microsoft. The Bethesda acquisition was it's going to be sort of an interesting comparison, and also gives us perhaps a bit of a roadmap of kind of what to expect, maybe with some of the questions we have. But yeah, Activision Blizzard, totally out of the blue. No, like that's one of the things that is absolutely boggling to me. No one knew this was happening. Nobody had inside knowledge that this was gonna pop up. It was completely 100% surprise. And I think it's very interesting now that kind of the dust is settling. We're starting to pick apart different things of it. You mentioned the Take-Two acquisition of Zynga, and I think that's something that's kind of like most people are not really focusing on with the acquisition of King in here. Works sort of strategically in the same way. You're getting kind of a road into the mobile space, which is really big. Like, we don't talk about it enough, but it is a huge piece of the pie, and so that's going to be really, really big for Microsoft. There's so much.
Mhm.
There's so much to think about in one kind of setting. But
Mhm.
of course, Activision Blizzard has the ongoing legal battles and workplace battles. Hopefully is getting better, and will get even more better. That's not a word.
We're right
under
there, we promised. Yeah.
yeah, under different leadership. And hopefully we'll see different leadership, but that is to be seen.
Yep.
But yeah, those are
So-
my overall thoughts.
Mhm. So on that point, there was some kerfuffle on the timeline, right, about Bobby Kotick's involvement in this deal, right? Microsoft has been very progressive, very publicly, pushing accessibility and trying to limit crunch and that kind of stuff, and
inclusion and diversity.
Yeah.
And all of those initiatives that they have.
And literally, you couldn't have picked a worse company for that at this point, right? Activision is coming off probably the worst scandal in games history, pretty close to it. So we do know that Phil Spencer's have games now at Microsoft or something. His title has
at
been
Xbox.
Yeah, he's just like head of Xbox.
CEO of Xbox Gaming,
Mr.
I think
Xbox.
is.
Doctor, if you please. They showed off the org chart, which was funny. I laughed when I saw Matt Booty on there. I was like, this man can't escape Xbox. Same with Rod Ferguson, right? Like these guys were like, I'm done, it's over. And it's like,
Mike
nah.
Ybarra is
Bring him
back under the
Yeah.
Xbox banner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bobby Kotick has been very he hasn't been in a ton of the releases. He did an interview or two. legally he cannot comment on whether or not he's going to be there after the dust settles.
Yeah, because I think legally, Microsoft can't fiddle with Activision's corporate structure because they don't own it yet. Which is, I think people, because a lot of the headlines, I get why, but we're saying like, oh, they bought them as if like, oh, the transaction is completed. Like, no, it's not going to be done until like next summer.
Year.
No, they could just show it. They could show it as like a pristine box and say like, oh, Phil Spencer is going to be in charge of this box, and then that's about all that they could say currently.
Yeah, there's a bunch of approvals and all kinds of government stuff that they have to go through before this is in the clear.
Especially with how big this particular acquisition is, there are a lot of questions about whether or not this is kind of going to go through legally. Like,
correct.
There are some questions about like being too big and whether or not that's going to get them in trouble. So I think unlike Bethesda, there is real question here about whether or not some legal entity is going to step in and say like, no.
Yeah.
Hold up.
This Biden just goes, skirt, what? There was, and the timing of this couldn't be worse for Microsoft if you're Team Microsoft here, because the DOJ did just announce that they are trying to pursue a little bit more stricter antitrust laws. None of us are experts in that, and we're just reporting on what we heard. I read a really good.
We talk on the internet. I thought that's all you needed.
Yeah, exactly.
We read a Twitter thread.
I will say I read a really good article on Waypoint from I think it's Rob Zachney and Patrick Klepek, kind of going over that side of it. So definitely go check that out. But we'll see. I think if more, like if this was a buy for like engines, right, like Unreal Engine and like Frostbite and stuff, then that's more of a case, but we'll see. They let Disney buy 90% of IP in film and TV, so it's like, and there's still like this still doesn't, to paraphrase from that article, right? This still doesn't put Microsoft at number one. They're not the top dog, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's still different enough to what Disney did, because like they could argue that Activision isn't a console manufacturer,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
So it's not like if they bought Sony or Nintendo. Then, like they tried to that one time.
Yeah, exactly. Marcus, what did you? Let's do knee jerk from you. What did you think of this? What are you still thinking? That kind of stuff.
I mean, outside of Jill's description of waking, because I had the same thing of like that was the very first thing I saw when I woke up in the morning and checked my phone was that, and doing several double takes, a quadruple take, if you will. I'm not a businessman. I don't have any. There you go. To me, this is just one super rich corporation buying another super rich corporation. It's like, okay, that's wild, but also okay. The thing that I want to ask you guys this too, that I keep wondering is, how does this benefit or hinder me as a player? Like, is this good or is this bad? Because right now I'm like, I don't know what this changes for me. At least for Activision, their output over the last, I'll say a decade, maybe like 15 years, has been less and less exciting because they've let a lot of their IP fall to the wayside to focus pretty much almost exclusively on Call of Duty, and all those studios that used to make other things like, Vicarious Visions all got absorbed to become a Call of Duty support studio. And I like Call of Duty, but I miss Activision making other things, So it's like, I mean, it probably won't happen, but the idea of, Call of Duty's only on Xbox, and as someone that has owned every console since the 360 PS3 generation, is like, I'm not missing anything or losing anything at the same time. It's just like, okay, I guess I can only play on my Xbox, whatever. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out, and we won't know the answer to this question for really years. But like, I was like, should I be excited about this as a player, or should I be like, oh no? I mean, again, in my particular position, I've seen people that say they're Sony fans or only have Sony platforms that are worried about losing, like, I guess Call of Duty, really, because like Blizzard, most of their things are PC exclusive anyway.
Yeah.
But like Overwatch, I guess, like, is Overwatch going to be on Xbox only, which would be.
So Phil did clarify, in as much clarification as he could give in an interview yesterday, which is Tuesday at this point.
Yeah.
and basically said they're not looking to rip communities away from the PlayStation ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So I think that means Warzone is staying, Overwatch 1 is staying, all the games that are already on there are safe bets to stay, right?
Which is what
Yeah.
they've done with Bethesda
Minecraft.
so far. And Minecraft. Minecraft
Mhm.
is everywhere. And they're
Mhm.
still releasing that everywhere.
Yeah, I don't expect them to make those things exclusive because, frankly,
Right.
that'd be dumb. But at the same time, I could see them doing the Psychonauts 2 thing of like, yeah, this is still going to come out everywhere, but we're not going to. The
Promote
next
it.
iteration isn't going to be because remember, Psychonauts 2, as far as I know, that never came
It
to
is on-
PS5.
It is
was
on
a PS4
PlayStation
game.
4. Yep.
Yeah, like there's no native PS5 version of that game because that's not what the deal was when that game was in development. 'Cause it was in development for some time,
Mhm.
but it is on Xbox Series X. So it's like, yeah, we'll leave the existing things alone, but like you said, Overwatch 2, which I'm not convinced is a real video game.
We've
but
seen so much of it. Leo
They keep
Vader played
saying-
it, I think.
Yeah.
Are you sure? It looks like Overwatch 1 to me. It's like Overwatch 1 with a different hat on.
Swear to
But-
mustache.
But at the same time, like that's, maybe with Microsoft overseeing that, does that get pushed out a little faster now? And do they do a thing like, hey, this is a Game Pass exclusive for Xbox? I mean, I believe that game's multi-platforms. I think they've said it would be, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
the things that are already in works, sure, multi-platform, but after that, do they have the same incentive to do the same thing or just keep it under their umbrella?
Because technically, if we want to go back a little bit, did they ever confirm Starfield for different consoles?
Starfield
No.
is
That is
Xbox.
Xbox. Yep.
Okay.
They-
Well, no,
they've
I
confirmed.
know it
I
is.
don't think I don't think they had said anything about their platforms beforehand.
Okay,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
That was
I
my
think-
question because
I'm pretty
we
sure
did
they-
know about Starfield before the Bethesda Xbox
Yeah.
deal.
I'm pretty sure they were just vaguely calling it like a next generation RPG
Cool.
of some
Yeah.
sort. And then
And we
Yeah.
still don't know the status of Elder Scrolls 6 and if that's going to be exclusive or not,
they've
right?
said Xbox
I think
specifically.
they've
for
said
that.
Xbox.
Yeah, which is a given at this point. It's like, well,
And PC.
this
Like
thing,
like we keep
And PC.
talking about how these things are Xbox exclusive, but really like you're dropping one major platform for most of these titles. It's like you are still going to get PC, you could still stream stuff, you could still get things on Xbox. Like it is really potentially the PlayStation gamers who are maybe missing out. Maybe the Switch players as well. It depends on what Blizzard games may or may not be in the works.
It is.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. We haven't talked about Switch, and we can keep on this trail, but I want to come back to Switch with this because I feel like that is a system we haven't really talked about quite yet in this whole mess. So,
Yeah.
Marcus, you want to keep going? Sorry, or Jill?
yeah. While you were talking, I was looking up like, is Elder Scrolls 6 confirmed for Xbox? And I just found an article from The Verge from November last year, where apparently, like, it's still unconfirmed, but I guess Phil gave an interview with GQ where he more or less implied it would be, but it's still not 100% cemented.
Okay.
But yeah, and just the and like seeing people wonder like, how does this affect Sony or Nintendo? Should they be worried? In my mind, no, at least not for a long time. Because again, Activision's output is it's just one game, at least on strictly the Activision side. And it's like, okay, like this won't happen, but like in the extreme case, they're like, oh no, Call of Duty's not coming to PlayStation. It's like, is it really as big a deal as it used to be? Especially if this was the Call of Duty of a decade ago, then that'd be huge. The Call of Duty of today, especially Vanguard not being as received well as it was.
Still the number one selling game in December, though.
True, but still, like for Call of Duty standards, still down.
Oh,
And
for sure.
we've seen like because there was the time where Sony got all the Call of Duty exclusive stuff for a while too, and I don't think Xbox was like, on death's door because they
were-
weren't getting the map.
They were too
packs
busy with
first.
Skull
Skull and Bones.
not Skull and Bones. What was the dragon one from Platinum? I just did it
Oh,
yesterday.
Scalebound.
Scalebound and
Oh.
Fable and stuff. They were a little busy to worry about.
Too busy
that kind of
canceling, getting things canceled, and and trying to
Yeah.
right their sinking ship.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of overreaction in terms of that. It's like I think they're fine for now. I don't think they need to like Sony needs to be like, oh crap, how much does EA cost? We need to
Right.
get them. Which I don't think they could either way because their pockets are nearly as deep as Microsoft's. So yeah, I think I'm just sort of mostly indifferent after the shock and awe wore off. And again, strictly on the game end, in terms of like Blizzard's culture and stuff, you know, it's weird. I was listening to some other podcasts talk about like, does this kind of put a wrench in like the unionization efforts? Because now you guys, or they have a new overlord. So do some people go like, oh, well, maybe we don't have to unionize right now. Maybe we should wait and see, because maybe things will change in a year and a half from now. And so like, could that be an issue? Which is like, that's a fair thing to think, right? Of like, oh, should we wait? I know APK got out and said like, oh, this changes nothing. We're still gonna,
right,
you know, rally and whatnot. Which, you know, good on them. Go for it. But yeah, I think that's the more interesting and thing that comes to mind when I think about that, because the game's in, it's like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be under a green banner now. Your
and
World
I think
of Warcraft
as
and
far
stuff.
as the real advantage for Microsoft here is Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because if things do still come out on everything, but if you have Game Pass, you can get that thing first day and for no more than the cost of Game Pass. Like, I know I'm going to pick something up there instead of picking it up at another console, even though I do have, like Marcus, other consoles to play stuff on. So that might be kind of something to think about, rather than thinking like, oh, if we keep everything exclusive, it's the only way that Microsoft's going to have a real advantage over things, rather than like, if we just put it on Game Pass, like people are going to get into our ecosystem rather than the PlayStation ecosystem. So I think that's interesting. I think, Marcus, you were talking about sort of the dwindling projects for various different studios that are now under the Microsoft banner, and does that mean that their projects get greenlit? Do we see revivals that come back that make it more interesting?
Yeah.
So that would be like on the question of, is this a good or bad thing? I fall somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's exciting to get this sort of information, especially if you're someone who works for game media, because you've got a lot of meat to kind of chew through and figure out and have ideas about and stuff. And just the general idea of like, wow, something really big is happening in the gaming space, and that's exciting and invigorating. And but you know, there are some potential, like, is this really anything good for consumers? Is this gonna like stop competition? And so like there is a lot of question back and forth there.
I wonder too, and excuse me if I'm rambling, this is the first time I've gotten to unpack any of these thoughts.
You're good.
So I'm thinking out loud to a degree. But you know, with Game Pass, do we get to see some of Activision's older stuff get brought back and remastered? Because Microsoft has shown that they're more interested in sort of celebrating the past.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Activision has seemingly been the complete opposite. So like when we you can go on the site now, and we had our list of like dead franchises that Activision had that we would like to see come back. Like when I was going through their list, I had forgotten that they had all that stuff, which is weird because Activision was the first ever third-party publisher like in game industry history, and a lot of people forget about that. It's like there was a time when they were making all kinds of stuff, and it'd be cool to just, you know, like go through and remaster that stuff and get it on Game Pass, and maybe that could lead to like a bigger revival of like, hey, AAA sequel to Pitfall or something like that. Again, just give me something different from the Activision side, like than just Call of Duty. But I do think like having Call of Duty on Game Pass, like the next one or the one after that, really, that would be pretty big. And I think to last year when MLB The Show came to Game Pass, which I'm not a sports fan, I'm not a baseball fan, certainly. But that's one of Sony's biggest series. But when that came to Game Pass, that was like, I actually downloaded it. It's like, well, it's here. I'll try it out. So they like that alone, they got me to do something I never considered doing for the years it was on PlayStation. So like Xbox was the one to get me to kind of open the door to that franchise. So that could be something that Sony could be afraid of, you know, even though Call of Duty wasn't exclusive. But like I said, more people be like, well, why buy it here? I always buy it every for PlayStation, but I have an Xbox and it's free, quote unquote. It's not free because you're paying a subscription fee, but you know what I mean. It's like, oh, it's just right here. I'll just play Black Ops 16 over here now.
Spelled with 16 1 Roman numerals.
It's a big hat. We're gonna have to put, it's like a sombrero.
And let me know if this is wrong or not. But I think also putting some of these like must-have games into Game Pass and like all these Blizzard titles, I would be spending money on normally. Call of Duty, occasionally, I'll buy at full price. This is all going into a bucket that I normally pay $15 for every month anyways. That frees up my budget a little bit to buy other worthwhile games that might be second, third in line, that might be on a different console. So I there is good and bad to it, but I think like if Sony is still releasing $60, $70 like Returnals, Ratchet and Clanks at a pretty good clip, I'm gonna have more money to spend on that stuff.
Yeah.
Than I would otherwise.
I want to posit a counterpoint there though, which I love that mindset, right? And I think especially I think that's a good call, and I haven't thought about that. How do you think the common consumer is going to think that way though, or is it going to make?
I'm a broken person who needs to buy like every game anyways. So like,
yeah,
you just need a hug. You know, you're not.
I'm
broken.
just trying to find the silver lining here.
Yeah.
When you say that, I wonder too. Like, could one approach be for like WoW specifically? Like, hey, we rolled a WoW subscription into a Game Pass subscription for no extra price. I tweeted
about it almost initially. I was like, I love this.
Really?
Idea. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought I was smart. I thought I had a good idea.
You are smart. Hey, you are. You know, we're in the same line of thinking here. Are they going to give out Hearthstone packs every month? Sure. Why not?
The data so far says with Halo, yes, right? Every month you get a special bundle if you're an Ultimate subscriber. And I think too, it's like, let's look at Warzone, right? When that deal goes through. Warzone's not going anywhere, but if you can maybe only play as, you know, I don't know, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot if you're an Xbox game subscriber.
You can only play Warzone on Zeta Halo.
Yeah, like you went for Animaniacs and not just like, oh, Master Chief's in the game.
I said Dr. Dre yesterday, so I was like, I need to think of something different here. But, you know, like that kind of stuff, it's like you can play on PlayStation, sure, but like you're going to have the best cosmetics and that kind of stuff if you're an Ultimate subscriber. So I'm curious to see what those kind of things are.
I also, I only saw like the basic idea. I haven't read into it or anything, but I saw a take from GameSpeed, and I believe it's Jeff Grubb, saying like Sony should put Game Pass on PlayStation 5, and I'm like, that's genius. That is absolutely.
Oh, like only on PlayStation 5?
Not. I mean, I don't know how they would accomplish that, but like if they
but just like let
yeah,
it
like
in.
if they let Game Pass be something you could buy for the PS5, and then there is no like, if you buy a PS5, you can get all of your Game Pass games too. Like that would be really intriguing.
Yeah. I don't think it'll ever happen.
I think Jim Ryan would rather be drugged through this town square.
I think there may be like a streaming app or something. Like I think like you could probably do it through a browser on PlayStation 5.
Yeah. It just feels like Sony and Microsoft, especially at this point, philosophically are so different between like how they approach the new generation and like you said about Jim Ryan, Alex. Like I almost would believe Nintendo doing that before. Nintendo's always been notoriously closed. But I mean, there was those rumors for a while that it was going to happen that seemed like it had some smoke to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's why I wanted to talk about Switch, because I feel like that's an aspect we haven't hit on yet, is Microsoft and Nintendo play in the sandbox pretty well, at least right now. You can play Ori, Cuphead. You know, there's a couple.
There's Banjo-Kazooie coming out on Switch tomorrow? Today, if you're
the 20th. So yeah, today. Congratulations, you're playing it. This, I could see this start to, maybe we do get some more traditionally Activision game, and Blizzard too, right? Blizzard put Diablos on Switch, right? Put Overwatch on Switch. There's a history there, so I'm curious to, in the right hands, maybe we get a COD on Switch now. You know what I mean? Like the
World of Warcraft on Switch.
Do it.
Actually, that was one of the
Touch
first things I thought
controls?
of was like, what if they brought World of Warcraft to consoles finally? It was Xbox. There's a part of me that's amazed that still hasn't happened.
People have been data mining console controls in World of Warcraft for a while.
Yeah,
So,
can you not play that game with a controller
No.
on PC at all? Like they've never added that.
No.
Huh.
That's nuts.
which like a lot of those classes are fairly simple, but I think a lot of it's like targeting and whatnot. But like you could play World of Warcraft, or at least you could, like it was an old school adventure or old school RPG, like actually clicking where you're going instead of like just holding down W.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Sorry if you're screaming at me, WoW fans. I have
No,
literally never played the game.
they should. They really should. Like
Dan
especially
Jackson
with
banging his head against the wall.
I said this yesterday, either on the stream or on the video that we recorded. Like with Final Fantasy 14, like dominating MMOs on like console and PC. Like I think World of Warcraft should figure out a way to get controller support working and put that thing on a console or 2 or 3.
Xbox
everywhere.
exclusive.
As
home
old
of
as that-
World of Warcraft.
As old as that engine is, I don't know if they've updated or not. I would assume so, but like I don't see why it couldn't like just run on a. It seems like it would be more like how do we map this to a gamepad rather than
Yeah.
whether or not this will set the box on fire. 'Cause I don't think it would.
Because I really do think Final Fantasy 14, and I'm sure there's people who disagree with me. I think that's one of the main, if not only, successful MMOs on console to the scale.
It's the
Or am I,
biggest.
am I
It's the
talking out of my
biggest,
butt?
but
Yeah.
I mean, there's things like Neverwinter. There's
Correct. Yeah.
DC Universe Online
Mhm.
that is still surviving, but
Yeah.
not to the levels of Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. And while WoW doesn't command the same grouping that it or uproar that it used to, right? I still think you put that on a console and people are going to definitely check it out, right?
Totally.
Maybe they have to pull it from sale because too many people like it.
Yeah, maybe, you never know. I guess for me, if you, I'll try to keep my take short here, because I've said it a million times, but this is probably the most conflicted about gaming news I've heard in a while. And to answer your question too, Marcus, like how does this affect us as a gamer, right? I think there's a macro answer to that and a micro answer to that. If your only focus is like you're an Xbox player, you just hit the lottery, right? You're going to get Overwatch 2 for $15 a month, right? You're going to get Diablo 4 for
Or
$15
Assuming you
a month.
like those in the first place.
Or
Exactly.
status
Yeah,
quo,
yeah.
like you were gonna buy and play those anyways. You're gonna buy and play them still.
Yeah. On a macro level, though, I'm scared of what this could mean for the industry, right? Do other companies go on spending sprees and not even just Sony? Like, does Netflix and Amazon try their hand at this, right? Sony reacted last year with Bethesda when Xbox bought Bethesda with buying up Housemarque and Bluepoint, right? So it's like, do they feel the need to go out and fry a bigger fish, or and then does this affect like purchasing habits even more, like Netflix has, right? Like Netflix, like almost all my friends now either watch Netflix or stream stuff. They don't buy DVDs, right? And I wonder how much that's going to change and hurt devs in that way too. It's like if the majority of people are playing console games on Game Pass, it's gonna be hard to get them to spend $60 on a game, or $70, right?
Right.
So does that hurt devs in the long run? I agree with your take about Sony right now, right, Marcus, where it's like they're not worrying about this year, right? They've God of War, Horizon, potentially their Game Pass competitor. They've Gran Turismo and whatever else we don't know, right? They're going to be just fine. PlayStation 5s are still coming off the shelves. It's in 5 years is this going to be a problem? Is it in 10 years, right? And I think that's probably what they're going over today in the Sony offices. So
yeah, I was listening to the Bombcast, and Jeff Gertzman brought up an interesting point. And you kind of touched on it here, Alex, where if they keep buying up these big AAA companies and then using them to bolster Game Pass, does that hurt the indie presence on Game Pass? As more and more AAA games kind of flooded, does it kind of hurt visibility? And does it kind of hurt the benefit that Game Pass had for smaller devs and smaller games, which, originally, like Game Pass was never positioned as like, hey, this is the indie service. But
Correct.
for a long time, that was mostly what it was.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a big indie game this week that I think a lot of people wouldn't play if it wasn't on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So
what a
Which we can
terrible
talk
day
later.
for nobody saves the
I
world.
feel
Yeah,
so
it's
bad for
nice.
Drinkbox. Like,
Yeah.
like
It's
oh,
a great game. We'll
yeah,
talk
we'll
about
talk
it
about
later.
it
We'll
later.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, because and it was already dubious, right? If Game Pass was outside of the marketing push, was actually benefiting indie devs, because we don't know. They've been very quiet about what that, what they actually get
cut.
out of Game Pass.
Yeah,
Right?
the closest we've gotten was when all the Epic prices came out during the lawsuit, where we found out like the things they paid to do their free game thing, and
Yeah,
like you're like, I don't know if this is comparable to what Microsoft offers, but you would think if you're starting a more or less a rival service, you would look at what they're doing and go like, can we match
Correct.
that, or should
Yeah.
we go over?
Because realistically, like, be honest with me, how many of you have played a game on Game Pass and gone like, cool, I'm gonna buy this? I
Now
don't
you're
think
making
I
me
ever
feel like
have.
a horrible person.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I mean, like, I don't mean to put anyone on blast, but like, I really,
you're
I
right.
have
No, you're
not,
right. You're right.
Yeah.
But
There have been times I've considered it, but yeah, I don't think
but also like the developers who are making that deal with Microsoft should make sure that they're getting a decent cut out of it
Right.
for
yeah.
But that does lead into the question that Marcus sort of brought up too, is like, if they are spending more getting these AAA experiences on there, do they have that money to float around for the indie experience?
right.
Is it more because when Game Pass started, it wasn't like it wasn't this big thing. So they needed content more than the content needed them. And as you get more of these huge experiences on there, it will turn the tide to be, we're Game Pass. We don't necessarily need you indies the way that it would be really good for you indies to have the exposure that we offer. Not that I think that they would approach it that way, but I mean, there will be some element. I think,
Microsoft has been really good about highlighting indies, and
Well,
like with
recently,
Xbox Wire.
So they've had a weird relationship with indies. Obviously, like XBLA was huge for
Summer Arcade, baby.
Summer Arcade was great, but once Xbox One hit, their indie presence was like non-existent for a while.
Oh yeah, that's when Sony took over pretty much. And was
Right,
like,
Sony, Nintendo, like, and then Microsoft brings in ID at Xbox, which is a kind of a confusing initiative, and I don't think that their indie presence really got good until Game Pass showed up again. So hopefully they are gonna keep indies under their wing to bolster the service. But if they don't, I think that's a segment of the gaming population that Sony should aim for.
Do you think we finally, like, when this all goes through and Activision games start popping up in Game Pass, like, this is the thing that finally gets them to raise the price of that thing? Because I'm still amazed that we're getting away with paying what we do for Game Pass.
I think they wait even a little longer, because then you give people 6 months and a year to get into the system. Then you bump it up to 20, 25, 30.
I think
because they did. Oh no, go John.
I think they start adding tiers. They add their Blizzard tier. Like, this is your WoW subscription in here. This is your
like
continual
Nintendo's
updates
doing.
for Diablo 4. This is this is your expansion pass.
I hate that more.
Yeah.
Here's your
I think that-
badly emulated World of Warcraft.
Here's Rock and Roll Racing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jill.
I just think that would be like, that would be a way to do it, but I don't know if they're going to, because that really does muddy the waters and confuse the like average person who's not tuned in to what's happening. So if someone says like, go get Game Pass, what does that mean? Is like, am I getting Game Pass with the Blizzard stuff? Or am I getting Game Pass with the...
Yeah, because right now there's Game Pass and there's Game Pass Ultimate, right? Which allows you to play on both PC and Xbox.
And gives you Xbox Live Gold. Like, there's already 3 or 4 different tiers right now that are confusing. And it's like,
even though Gold is... They barely talk about it nearly as much as they used to. So
I'll give you... I don't think it's even a hot take. I think Gold is gone in the next year or two. Especially once they get
I'm surprised it's still around.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
It's there for the people who they can get $60 a year out of, or more if they're doing a monthly subscription with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised like that so many people have jumped from the $60 a year, or if they find it on sale somewhere like cheaper for gold, and went to just a strict $15 a month with no other discounts available. Like it's I definitely dove in and did that because I think the value's there. But
did y'all jump in the days where it was like you could buy? It was like I can't remember what the deal was. It was like you could buy like $2 years worth of Xbox Gold for like a normal price, but then you pay $1 and it converts it and like adds to it or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and the only reason I didn't was that happened during an E3, and I was at that E3 working. So I was just too busy working E3 to do it, but I saw it going around like, and that was when I think I had only gotten into Game Pass, because that's when Game Pass was still pretty like, it's okay. I think people forget when Game Pass started, it was almost kind of laughable. Like people were like, oh, they give you games for like years ago, whatever. Good luck, Microsoft. It was still very much in that era of Game Pass when that kicked off. So I wasn't like in a huge rush, but I was like, that seems cool, but I'll wait for the library to fill out. Now I'm like, man, I wish I got that.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
But I was also too busy to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, this has a ton of interesting implications everywhere in this, right? But I think people are getting back to more of a macro level, people are throwing the monopoly term around a lot, and I don't think that's accurate for this. I do think oligopoly is very much more apt for this, right?
Wait, what?
Oligopoly is when a few companies control everything, kind of like when you look in like pharmaceuticals, banks, like alcohol, like it's not one company owning everything, it is a few companies owning everything, and that's where I think things are heading. And as we can see in the US today, that's not good. Things are tough.
Yeah. I thought you mispronounced Olive Garden. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to. They're starting an Olive Garden, unlimited breadsticks for $15 a month. Yeah.
Microsoft bought Olive Garden. Now you get unlimited breadsticks with your Game Pass subscription.
Yeah. Is there anything? I think this has been a fantastic talk. Is there any final thoughts, or is there anything if you want to be positive about this, right? Like, are you excited for a studio to get their hands on Microsoft content or vice versa? Like, have you guys dreamed up anything that you're excited about for these devs?
I say take Playground when they're done with Fable. Maybe they'll make Yeah, when they're wrapped up with Fable, since they're pretty good at open world stuff with Forza Horizon, what if you gave them Gun and let them take a stab at trying to
take a shot,
usurp Rockstar? Yeah, a 6-shot, a duel with Rockstar over Western supremacy. That would be interesting. I liked Gun. I wrote about this in our little feature, but like I said, Gun was cool. Everything Red Dead did everything better that Gun tried to do, but Gun was a product of its time. It was cool for 2005. Yeah, give them let them try to do something different than Red Dead. And I say that as someone just likes Westerns and I just want more AAA Western games. So, and why not do a sequel to Gun? Really, what's the argument against it?
Red Dead 3, if that's ever a thing.
Oh, in 2045.
Yeah, he'll be in a walker at that point.
Well, we're still waiting for GTA 6.
Yeah. Jill, how about you? Anything come to mind?
I don't have any specific projects that I'm excited to see. I am excited about the possibilities I haven't even thought of, if that makes sense. The things that are going to hit me out of the blue, out of left field, that during an E3 or whatever. Big presentations in the summer are now are going to, I'm like, I did not imagine that happening, and yeah, that makes sense. I guess they're both connected this way, so that's what I'm excited about, is that big unexpected news. Oh, Marcus, you got your thinking cap on.
Brain blast, Jimmy Neutron style.
I was looking up Activision's just catalog, and I forgot about Blur. Did you guys remember play Blur?
Oh my god, I forgot that was Activision. Yeah. Yes.
What if the Forza team made Blur?
It's over. It's done. This is a good thing now.
It's really full circle, because that was Bizarre Creations who did not Midnight Club.
Project Gotham
Racing.
Yeah, that's right.
Who then went to Activision to make Blur.
If you didn't play Blur, by the way, it was basically Project Gotham Racing, but Mario Kart.
Mario
Like you,
Kart,
you
yeah.
raced
Oh,
around in like realistic cars and shot power ups at each other, and I loved it. And I used to play it so much with my roommates, and I would scream to everyone like, "Why aren't more people talking about Blur? This is great. Bring that back, like Forza level polish.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Give
I love
me
that idea.
Blur Horizon."
Yeah.
Open world Blur.
Oh.
I'm just gonna drive around Mexico with a bunch of players and we're just shooting each other.
That's real nice. That's real nice.
That is fantastic. I'm so happy you brought that up. John, how about you?
I mean, I don't know what I haven't said before. If you check out all of our other content on this, I don't know. Like, I'm not exactly surprised that this happened. Because people are buying companies all the time, especially Microsoft, and this is probably the biggest get. Like, this is
Ever.
the biggest like reasonable get out there right now. Like, they're not going to buy a Take-Two. They're not going to buy Ubisoft probably.
But like that's crazy because it's like all those companies you just listed. If you combine those companies, they wouldn't have been more than Activision. You know, like that's nuts.
But I'm excited to see if any of these support studios from Activision Blizzard start branching out and start doing their own projects.
Yeah.
I know it takes a lot to support games like Call of Duty that are that popular, or games like the ones that Blizzard puts out, like with Vicarious Visions being absorbed into Blizzard. Like that was a dream and a curse for me. And I would love to see their talents go into remastering other Activision classics. Namely, I do want Tony Hawk 3 and 4, or
real.
For Blake's sake, Underground, and
Yes.
I think that is a big strength for this acquisition is the backlog of titles that Microsoft now gets to put on anything they want.
Mm-hmm.
We have all of your Diablos, we have all of your Warcrafts, we have your Lost Vikings, we have put up servers of Call of Duty 2. If you want
Give me some Big Red 1. Let's go.
Big Red 1.
What if you had the Master Chief collection of Call of Duty?
I mean, that'd be sick. That'd be so good. Do you like the whole HD overlay so you can like switch between the two versions? Yeah, I think there's a lot they could do with that backlog, and I hope they do. I hope they put the resources into that for game preservation in general.
Yeah.
And maybe make a good prototype for once.
They should reboot Prototype. How about that?
I love Prototype.
The only problem with that is they can't do a good Crackdown, so I don't know how they're going to do a good Prototype now.
You're trying to hurt me now, aren't you, John?
That's
I loved Prototype. I love Crackdown.
I never played it. I was an Infamous guy, so
Infamous was better. But.
I wasn't as lucky to have a PlayStation at the time, so I played Prototype. So, yeah, I guess wrapping it for me, I am dubious of this for all the reasons we talked about, but I do see there's good things in this, right? I would love Infinity Ward to not be heard of for 5 years and come out and blow us away with a Call of Duty, right? Absolutely, like just take it to the days of that Modern Warfare, right? Of 07, right? I'd love to see a de-annualization of that, even though Google tells me that's not a word. I'm saying it anyways. And at the end of the day, too, I hope that this can provide the reform Activision was not going to get internally for those people, and I've seen some people who are dubious of that on the timeline, right? And I think, skepticism is good, but like also I feel like Microsoft, in the conversations we've had with Double Fine and 343, right, has been true to their word of giving these studios time, money, and support. And I hope, Sledgehammer, Raven, these companies, like, they deserve that. So
yeah, it feels like it can't get any worse, right? Like we've seen what Activision Blizzard devolved into when they were left to their own devices.
Mm-hmm.
So now having an overlord over them, hopefully that helps things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I was asked the question of whether or not the legal stuff going on and the horrible stuff going on at Activision Blizzard dropped the price so that the 68 billion might be like some sort of discount, but I don't know if that is correct. I think the price is probably about the same, but I think just the fact that they were willing to be acquired is really because of this, because I think Activision Blizzard was looking at another long while of everyone looking at any of their games and immediately going like, I don't know if I can support you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This does lift a little bit of guilt from me for like if I want to go boot up Diablo 2 Resurrected, but like the company still has those issues. It's still something to consider. If you are if you care about it, if you're conscious of it, it's this doesn't fix it overnight.
No.
But at least it could be a path to making things better.
It seems a little bit clearer now, or should be, right? And I've said this ad nauseum on the other stuff, but like I think this is Phil Spencer and his team's biggest test, of your progressive nature of being there for the dev, right? You've championed that for the last couple of years. Good. Now do this on a level that is reportedly like the most toxic in the industry, or one of the most toxic in the industry,
right. And very public.
Very, very public. So, and unfortunately, it's not just Bobby, at the top. Like, there's cronies all the way down that need expulsion from that company, right? And it does suck that there's some golden parachutes going out, like, but if this can, in the long term, help more people, who am I to say that's a bad thing, So,
and you have to consider Microsoft is not just a game company. So they have their own like technology reputation that they need to uphold. And I think it's gonna be like a take no prisoner attitude, for like a zero tolerance attitude for this kind of stuff once things are complete.
I hope so. Yeah, I really, really do. So
it's like adopting a bad child and be like, you ain't gonna embarrass me when we go out to dinner. Well, I don't know what you did at your old house,
but it's not working here. Yeah.
Phil Spencer's talked about that recently. Like, we can't necessarily like preach to other companies how they should conduct themselves, but we can at least try to be a leader and try to foster a certain behavior.
Yeah.
And I think this is their chance to prove that they can, with the rottenness of apples.
Yeah, Phil is on fire, right? Him and his team, right? They are doing some amazing stuff for Xbox and I'm excited. I choose to be excited for the future of that when they can prove that in spades with some of the biggest IP in the gaming world. So
yeah,
it's really good talk. Appreciate y'all. If you want more from us, you can check out the other YouTube video where we break down the Xbox Activision stuff. You can go to twitch.tv.com and look at the archive of the Just Chatting, the first Just Chatting that we did as Game Informer. And we're gonna take a quick break, and I'm gonna see if I can find my co-host. So we'll be right back.
I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome back to the Game Informer show. I found Alex. He was making lunch. How's it going? What are you eating today?
I've got ramen, but I make my ramen really brothy.
Ooh.
I usually put in like double the broth requirement.
Wow.
Or whatever, double the water. Well, this time I did 2 cups of water and a cup of chicken broth. Brought that to a boil and threw in my packet of ramen. And it's delicious.
That's just soup.
Soup.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you brought enough for the class.
I definitely did, but unfortunately none of you are here, so I'm just going to eat it all.
Do the rest of you want to go get pho after this?
Oh, well,
go to Quang's.
If I knew that Quang was an option, I wouldn't have made ramen.
Your loss.
Sorry, I can't have 2 soupy substances in one day.
Yo, you would have ultimate soup belly, and that would just be you wouldn't work for a week after that. Yeah.
But you do have to take the cardboard cutouts of, well, especially me. I don't know. I don't want to.
Yes, of course.
And just like order it a soup and be really serious about it.
I'm just gonna splash it at your cardboard cutouts.
Still, you're not eating enough.
We're gonna have some real Real soggy faces. Buddy.
Jill,
Look at
yeah, I was
that.
gonna say, Jill, your lips are very soggy. Like, do you not want?
Wipe
Just
me off with a
melting at
little
the table in
napkin.
horror.
The more we talk about this cardboard cutout idea, I think we actually have to go through with it once we get
We
into the new
should.
office.
Yeah, let's talk to production because I don't know how the hell you make
Yeah,
those.
like,
or,
what
like,
is the
get those in.
process of getting a cardboard cutout made
You
of
just
you?
call like Minuteman Express or whatever, like a
Go to a
chain,
Staples.
a printing chain, and be like, "Yo, you got cardboard? How tall is it?"
I've got some faces to put on.
Okay, that's the same height as Jill. So I'm gonna send you a PNG.
There we go.
Yep. High res.
Oh, okay. You've
Yeah.
actually put some thought into this. It seems.
Yeah, CMYK. We're not doing this RGB
Nah,
nonsense.
Get it out of here. Yeah.
So yeah,
I want the finest.
Only the finest of color schemes. What an intro to the playlist. This is the section of the show where we talk about the games that we're playing. And ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to tell you that as of this week, I think 9 out of the next 10 weeks have games I want to play. So like playlist is going to be bumping for the next couple of weeks. And
yes,
very excited about that. Alex, since you were being chef de cuisine before, do you want to start? You want to kick us off with a little Rainbow Six, perhaps?
Yes, I have been playing and reviewing Rainbow Six Extraction, the new 3-player co-op game, co-op shooter that is essentially a spin-off, an offshoot of Rainbow Six Siege, which is the popular competitive shooter that's been out since like 2015. So it's using all of the same operators, all of the same weapons, some of the same equipment and gadgets, but also some new equipment and stuff. And yeah, it all takes place in this alien infested United States, this depiction of the US that's been, overrun by the Archaeans, which are like these parasitic creatures. They're pretty much aliens that lay eggs. And
Wasn't that the Netflix show, Arcane?
Archaea? Yeah. I'm sure. That's a very okay. Yeah, cool.
It's a League of Legends joke. You get it? You with me?
No, I'm not actually.
The show Arcane? Never mind. Keep going.
That was very bad.
You just didn't get it.
Maybe that too.
Chat, let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, write in with a podcast review letting us know if Alex's joke was good or not.
Just say if you got it or not. Like don't leave any other context.
Yeah.
We'll know.
Yeah. And so yeah, that all takes place in this alien infested, I think the 4 locations are New York, San Francisco, Alaska, and Truth or Consequences, which I didn't realize was a real life town in New Mexico until I was like, why do they have like 3 real life locations and then a map called Truth or Consequences?
And then a Covenant ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, that's the name of the town?
In New Mexico. That's a real town. You can go and look it up. I linked to the town's website in my.
It's gotta be a cowboy town.
You think it's divided in like a dividing line? Like I live on the consequences side of this town.
Right? Yeah. Where do you lie? Truth or consequence?
Oh, you're a truther, huh?
But yeah. So each of these locations have like several submaps within them. Like New York has like the Tenderloin. San Francisco has the Tenderloin. That's the only one I can remember. And then like the game randomizes the maps in their order. So like one level you might be going in, okay, I'm starting on this area, and then I've got to get to, we got to kill the aliens. And each incursion, as they're called, each mission, each match of the game is divided into 3 sections. And each section is one part of the map that's randomized. And also the objective within that location is randomized. So 3 areas, 3 objectives. The deeper you go into the incursion, the more difficult enemies get, the more varied enemies get. And there are like tiers of the parasite. And there's like the low level grunts, and all the way up to tier 4 is kind of like these giant hulking behemoths that can like run through walls and stuff. And they make your life miserable. And the whole like crux, there isn't really a narrative in the game. It's barely like there. At one point there was a bug where I was trying to read some environmental like little storytelling, and the operator comes over the voice comm and says, "There's nothing interesting here. Might as well move on." Like as I'm mid midway through reading about this story. Like, and that's like the perfect way to describe the narrative of this game. But yeah, and so like the whole crux is like, oh, the Rainbow Six Siege operators have formed this new task force called React, and they're trying to. You have to go in and you know research and kill and capture these Archaeans to like fund and like kind of bring in resources for this research.
Yeah.
So like
is React an acronym?
Yes, it is, and I cannot tell you what it stands for.
Recon, espionage,
electronic,
action, conceal yourself, tactical.
terrestrial. Yeah, I don't know what React stands for, but it's like the task force that is headed up by like a lot of like of the big Rainbow Six operators that people love, like Ash and Thermite and you know other characters.
All of your favorites.
It's a thing, right? Yeah.
Sledge is like on the ground.
Yeah.
He's actually my favorite operator to use in the game.
White Shadow.
Yeah, exactly. White Shadow, love him. But yeah, it's a 3-person co-op game. There's not really much of a story. You are going match to match, going as deep as you can. At any point in that 3-tier incursion, so like step 1, step 2, step 3, there are airlocks in between those areas that are kind of like the safe house, and they may or may not have like health items or ammunition. Sometimes you'll open up the safe house and there's like enemies inside you have to clear. It's all kind of like random. And you can extract from the incursion at any moment in time. So you could literally load into the game, kill a few people, get hurt, and be like, oh, I'm gonna leave. And the reason you would want to do that is your operator's health carries over from match to match. So if I complete a mission and I have 4% health left on my character, they're going to have an injured status for the next game. And I could load into the next match with 4 health as that character, or I would pick another operator, complete missions and incursions as them, which will heal my injured operators over time. And
would you be leaving your teammates?
You have to extract with your teammates.
Oh, okay.
That's gotcha. It's like all 3 teammates or nobody. And so yeah, you are kind of going through these various challenges, trying to keep as much health on you as possible because there is that persistent health system that happens. And so like if you can make it to the 3rd area and like beat that challenge, you're gonna get the most XP versus extracting early at like the first area. And so you really do want to get to that 3rd area and try to beat all of the objectives in front of you because you get like match bonuses, completion bonuses, all that stuff. And the reason you want that XP is there are 2 progression systems in this game. There are operator-specific progression systems. They're called operator advancements, I think. And then there's the general, like, your profile level, like you are level 10. And like there are rewards for leveling up each of those things. So for instance, if you really like to play Sledge, which I do, he's the dude with the big sledgehammer and he can smash through wooden walls and make new doorways where there weren't before. Each operator has up to 10 levels that can be earned. So at the start of the game, every one of your operators is level 1, but the more you play as an operator, they level up. And so for instance, like right now, my Sledge is like level 6 or whatever. And he's leveled up enough times where he's unlocked a couple new guns. He's unlocked a perk. It's like a movement speed increase. And then he's got a new ability where he can charge his hammer and slam it into enemies to stun them. But if I get him to level 10, I can do an even better charged hammer swing that like hits the ground and does more damage and yeah. So there are and each operator has their own like specific tree that makes sense for them. So like another character, IQ, at level 1, her main ability is like this like arm tablet. Think like Fallout's Pip-Boy, but like it looks cooler. And like she can like look around the environment with it and find like ammunition and health like through walls, and she can ping it for her teammates. But if you level up IQ, she'll eventually be able to detect. Now she can detect like enemy traps and so on and so forth. It's that kind of logic. And so if you really like a character, you really want to invest your time into that character. And so there's like that risk and reward of, oh, well, he's at 50% health. I really want to level him up. Is it worth it to go into an incursion and play as him? Or should I probably play like a lower level character who is less capable, but they are at full health? So it's like kind of that, like those choices create like interesting moments that lead to like a very tense feeling game. And I do enjoy some good parts of this game, but as a whole, I just feel like this game is much less compelling than Rainbow Six Siege, because Rainbow Six Siege, well, for instance, like this game is using all of those original characters. Those characters, and sure, they've been tweaked, but those characters were originally designed for a player versus player context, an attack and defense context. So like in Siege, you know, if you're on the attacking team has one part of the roster to play as, and the defending team has another part of the roster. Extraction is kind of like picked like fan favorites and like operators that aren't necessarily attackers. You're now kind of playing them in a very attack oriented play style. And sure, there are like objectives you'll get where you're like, you have to hold down this location and defend it. And it's good to have, I guess, defensive characters for that. But I found myself like really leaning towards the characters that were traditionally attackers in Siege. And when I was playing like more defensive oriented characters like Alibi, who like makes clones of herself that enemies can attack, I just found myself like using her abilities way less. Whereas if I'm playing like a traditionally aggressive character, I was like constantly running out of my equipment. And so there's like an imbalance there. And just overall, I find myself like when I was playing this game, I was like, man, I really just want to be playing Rainbow Six Siege right now. Because sure, like the game, there is a lot of challenge. It's a hard game. I died a lot. And I really like that, like, if my character dies, it spawns a new mission type where I have to go into another mission and rescue them. As playing that stuff is really cool. The persistent health, the missing in action system, really cool. But it's kind of like enclosed in this very safe feeling offshoot of a game that was like industry defining for like esports and stuff, you know?
So do you feel, because, you know, Siege is one of the great comeback stories we have in modern games, right? Not great at launch, now is, you know, synonymous, like you said, with esports and tactical shooting. Is there a way to that with not necessarily like esports and stuff like that, but is there a way to getting like more content becoming better in that way for Extraction? Or do you think just the shell that it has is too limiting of a concept?
I don't see that happening with Extraction. It feels more of like I hesitate to use this term because it's just like all you see in like YouTube comments and like Reddit and stuff. It does feel kind of like there was an older mode in Siege called, what was it called? Outbreak. And it was like, feels like a more expanded version of that, but it still feels like an extra mode attached to Siege.
Got it. Okay.
It's definitely more, there's definitely more going on than just, like, it's not fair to say like, oh, it's just like a glorified game mode. There's more going on. Like, I'm not going to call it that, but it is definitely like limited in its appeal, I think. And like its longevity. But I could be wrong. I mean, I just can't think of like every operator in this game. I mean, conceivably has to originate in Siege. So they're just going to continue to have that problem where they're retuning characters from a different game and converting them into a new context. And sure, maybe they can make some Rainbow Six Extraction exclusive characters, but I really don't think they're going to be doing that because I think that they want people to get plugged into Siege in the long run. That is like the loop of, oh, you can buy cosmetics. And there is a store in Rainbow Six Extraction. I'm not sure, like, if you buy a skin on a character in Extraction, if it'll show up in Siege. I think there's some crossover
Listen,
there, but it's not.
If you apply to the blockchain, you can take that in from one game to the other with very little effort. No, so my question, sorry to interrupt, is this, and it's something I've wondered for this game since I saw it at E3 last year. If it's not necessarily a game for Siege players to play, is it a good on-ramp for someone who hasn't touched Siege, who, like myself, like I've been interested in Siege, but like that game's been out for forever, and even entering
it's
in
obtuse.
any multiplayer, it's obtuse, and it's just intimidating. Like I don't want to let down a team by going in and doing the wrong thing, by not knowing how to play a character, how they interact with things. Will Extraction, since it's a Game Pass game currently, I could download it on my Xbox, can I learn about these different operators and take that knowledge into Siege?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
There are constraints there. There's some very core mechanics to Siege that are totally absent in Extraction, like repelling is like a huge part of Siege.
I'm
like
great at repelling people.
Yeah, being able to like throw a rope up and like climb up to different angles, and like that is a huge part of Siege, and like gaining the information that is weirdly absent from Extraction. I feel like that would have made this PvE experience really fun. I get that there's probably some design issues with that, and that's why they left it out. But yeah, I think as a whole, like, yeah, if you are at all interested in Siege, you're intimidated, but you are interested in the mechanics, like the and like the operators themselves, then yeah, I think this is a good onboarding. But I feel like, and again, I review this as a person who is like a longtime fan of Siege,
right? So
it's hard to like put myself in that shoes of somebody who's has no context.
Yeah. But since you do have context of both games, I think
that there is certainly going to people that OMRA, and I've said since I started previewing this game, I think that is the motivation for Ubisoft publishing this game, is like they want people to get that itch for
like the
main game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think that the opposite is going to be as successful, where Siege players are going to be jumping into this and playing this a bunch. And I know during like some of my interviews, one of the creative director was talking about like they were hoping that like, you know, fans would like in between matches, oh, you're waiting for your friend to get on Siege to play ranked, like, oh, let's hop into Extraction and, you know, play in there for a round or two while our friend gets on.
For sure.
I don't know, I'd rather just play another round of Siege while I wait for my friends.
Yeah.
Just because that human element is so integral to that game being fun.
Yeah.
And as great as as great a variety as there are in enemies in this game, just nothing compares to having your enemy be controlled by a human. And like Siege is all about that back and forth. Like it's like a battle for information, and like the team who can gain the most information on their enemy team and prevent that enemy team from getting information on them, they are like primed for success in Siege. And that is an interesting like dance because of the human element, and that is missing in an Extraction. I just find it less compelling
for sure
as a overall design. But yeah,
are the aliens cool? Just in
the
general?
aliens are cool. I think the aliens are pretty cool. They all have weak spots, whose hitboxes may or may not be like too small.
It's beneficial for them.
Some of the hitboxes in the game, man. I'm like, and I'm used to playing on PC, but I'm reviewing this on Xbox, and like I'm like on my gamepad, like just like inching it, like there's and yeah, that was a little frustrating, but
for sure.
All in all, you know, solid, kind of standard fare co-op shooter. I think people will have fun with it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to say what you gave it as the official reviewer?
Review is not final. It is currently sitting at a 7 though, and I think I don't foresee that really changing.
7 heaven. We get it. Yeah.
7 heaven. Yeah. 7th heaven.
7th heaven. Coming to you on Freeform.
Show.
Yeah.
You'll want to watch it as soon as you're done playing.
Coming up after Kyle XY, Rainbow Six Extraction.
What if he was an alien, right?
Yeah. He ain't got no belly button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I appreciate your talk on that, Alex. I definitely, when we streamed it, I enjoyed it, but it definitely felt like a thing. I was like, cool, this is gonna be dope for a weekend, play on Game Pass with my buddies, and then move on. So
Yep.
and it sounds like it's living up to that billing, which it's cool that it's on Game Pass, like we talked about for the last hour. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. But be sure to go check out Alex's review. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
No, that pretty much sums it up.
Cool. Go read his thoughts on GameInformer.com, and then you can go to YouTube. We have our stream archive of when Jay, Alex, and I played about 3 hours of it. We went full savage mode. We tore each other apart. We brought each other up. It was a beautiful, beautiful stream. So
yeah, and I should have a video review going up the day it launches, which is the 20th. So
cool. I didn't want to lock you in if you weren't sure on that. But
no,
go check out the video review for that. So neat. Jill Grote, the what I call you earlier, the Incineroar of indie games.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It was Infernape.
The Infernape. Oh, I blew my next one. Damn it. Okay.
The Arcanine of indies.
The Arcanine of indies. Now it's got to be an I word. They got to get that.
We're about to be talking about dogs, aren't we?
Inteleon, yeah. Oh, true. See this, John. You're a wise man. Someone should give you the stream. Jill, my dear friend, you are playing an indie title true to your name, correct? You want to talk about that?
I am playing also a Game Pass game, but in a very different end of the pool here.
Okay.
I am playing Pupperazzi, which is my review is coming out soon. I think it is also tomorrow. And the sort of best way to explain it to someone is it is sort of a game epitome or euphemism of like cotton candy. It is.
Oh, okay.
It is fun. It is festive. It is sweet to play. Not something you want to like eat constantly, or if you want something that's really gonna like give you, strength and substance. But it's fun. It is basic premise. You are a humanoid camera.
Okay, with
you exist in a world that is full of dogs, and also humanoid robots. None of it is explained. There's no lore. It's just like
I was gonna ask, like,
so this is
sick apocalypse, or did we enter?
Yeah,
here?
because of course you are. Yeah. It's just this is all the reality that you exist in, and your ultimate mission is to become the greatest pupperazzi there is, being the camera creature you are. So you wander around various levels, trying to meet requests and objectives from people who will fill like a menu. You don't get NPCs, you don't get any story. So you go into your menu, you see a list of like, hey, I'd really like a picture of a dog with a fashion item on. So you go and find a dog with like some cool hat. You get a picture and make that person happy, and then claim a reward, which is going to be either like currency, which of course looks like a bone, and followers. So your job is to gain as many followers as possible. It's sort of an experience point kind of thing. More experience point / followers that you get, you unlock new levels. You get to go into a new level, and you get to start over with fresh objectives. And the game is really just about existing in this colorful, fun, adorable dog world, exploring and having fun and not thinking too much. It's an escapism sort of thing. It's an absurd, playful game, and it's a lot of fun. I wouldn't rest on it being like, if you have one game to play this entire year and it's the only game you can play for the entire year, like, I don't think this is going to be the one you want to pick. But if you do just want a moment to just, it's been a heavy day, I want to just get out of here and pet, because you get to pet all the dogs.
Yeah.
So you can pet them.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay, good.
Tell the Twitter account.
Yeah. You just want to spend some time petting pups and taking pictures and go, like, it goes some interesting places. All of the levels are fun. They're like, they have one that I'm particularly in love with, which was like Mellowstone, which is absolutely a ripoff of Yellowstone, like nature-filled area, and you can, like, one of the request is to get a picture of a dog with a bird, and multiple dogs have like birds just resting on their head and being adorable.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would be
that's
like dogs shooting out of geysers.
like, you joke, but perhaps.
Oh, no spoilers.
So, and you do sort of level up. There are different camera lenses that you can get, and different film types, and you do have a social media presence that you can build up as well. And people are not terribly always nice on the social media.
What?
Like,
What?
yeah, I know.
Not
I
even
know.
This was escapist.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is really exactly what it looks like from the kind of cover. It is a fun, colorful, playful, absurdist escape play with puppies.
I'm now curious though, like, what are they saying on social media? It's like, wow, that
They're
dog
saying
needs
those
to
are bad
lose some
dogs?
weight, or like, oh, that
No,
dog
they're not
cannot
nice.
take care
They're
of her
nice
children.
about the dogs. Everyone's
Okay.
nice about the dogs. They're just a
Okay.
little mean to you. Like, the first time I put up more than, I think, 5 or 6 pictures, they're like, this is spam. Could you stop? And I'm like, could you stop? Get out of
Like,
here.
can you retort? Like, I've never taken a picture of a dog, but I can tell your picture's garbage.
The composition's way off.
Yeah.
So, do the dogs like getting their picture taken, or some of them just have their heads buzzed and like are hitting your SUV with like an umbrella? You know?
There's, I think in the beginning, like before you get the mechanic or fully figure out the mechanic to like pet dogs, sort of in the tutorial, they can run away and be shy. But for the most part, they're not really that concerned with you. Like, they're doing their own things, having parties and like exploring hydrants and, you know, all the fun things they get to do. So
Yeah. Okay. I am fascinated by this game that has no lore about the lore of this whole thing.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. So did you like your experience with it? Was it fun? I mean, like, everyone likes cotton candy, right? But like, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, the time that I spent, it's not a long game. It's a couple of hours.
Okay.
To get to the
5
final,
or closer to 10?
I mean, closer to like 3.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
we're
So
quite
real
short here.
Yeah.
You can go back in. There is a sort of, if you want to just go in and exist and take pictures, you can do that forever. But I was always having fun when I was in it. But when I walked away from it, I was never like, oh, I gotta jump back in. I gotta get that one request where they really wanted that picture of that dog with that hydrant. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So it's really like the gameplay is really just kind of an excuse to live in the world and have something to do while you're in it. When I finished it, I had no compelling drive to come back and see new things. And so great game. Had a very fun time while I was in it. It's a Game Pass game, like I said, so if you do want to pick it up and check it out, totally worthwhile.
Okay, cool. How do you feel about basically being Game Informer's like photography game critic at this point? I feel like you get almost every one of them at this point.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna push it all the way. I'm gonna start just like doing all of my reviews are just totally photography based, video game photography based, and it'll be interpretive. And you'll have to see how everything pieces together. It'll be fun.
All of her reviews come in as like photographs of her like handwritten article.
Yeah. And like, if you read out, like, I'll take pictures of subjects, and if you read them out loud, it'll spell something.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Are you
They're
actually
really
the
clever.
photography game? Because how are your pictures so good?
Oh, these are the questions. I like the idea of Reeves sitting there reading her review of God of War Ragnarok, and it's like, why did she just sit in photo mode the entire time? Like, how is the game? Where did the story go? Like, you created this monster.
We've
art.
revolutionized game reviews.
Oh, I love it. So, review should be on the site. What did you give it?
It was a 7.25.
Okay. 7.25 heaven.
Yep.
The sequel,
That's
prequel,
it.
I don't know what you. Yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
Cool. So go check that out. I don't think we don't have anything on the YouTube site, unfortunately, for that. But go
Check it out
the
on
review.
Frame Informer though.
Frame Informer. Yes. There we
Mm,
go.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good. I'm sure Jill wouldn't get sued for starting that, right?
Yeah. Don't come for any Fatal Frame news though. You'll be disappointed.
No,
No, I'm down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm,
it does have a camera in it, so it's fair
Yeah.
game.
it
True.
does.
Yeah. There you go. Funny, dumb old thing. John Carson, speaking
Yes,
of Game Pass
hello.
games, good Lord, we got a show
Speaking
chock
of-
full of them. You got to play the Drinkbox banger that is Nobody Saves the World.
It's true.
The studio
It's true, I
behind Guacamelee and
Yeah.
Severed, which I never got to play. But
Also good.
I take your word for it.
Yeah.
It sounds like Nobody Saves the World. Also good, correct?
Also good. Also real good. It's definitely a different genre that they've played around with in the past. So Nobody Saves the World is a top-down action RPG. It's kind of something similar to A Legend of Zelda mixed with A Binding of Isaac. In I'd say gameplay and art style. It does take that more I don't know, like gross looking
Grotesque,
visuals,
yeah.
grotesque,
Mhm, yeah.
cartoony visuals.
Mm.
What were you gonna say, Marcus?
It was like the nobody, the protagonist, in his base form kind of looks like wet toilet paper
Yeah,
molded into a human being.
yeah. He's just like featureless, sad, like sunken, well, like non-existent eyes. And so the whole premise is you wake up, you're nobody. You wake up at a shack, and you wander into this wizard's mansion, and you find this wand. And the wand lets you transform into different forms. So you transform into a rat, and as a rat, you get different abilities. You have you can chomp on things, you can poison stuff, you can then consume that poison, and like hurt things faster.
Mm-hmm.
With each form, you're given a series of quests that this is like the real loop of the game is you have different goals that you need to complete with each of these forms. As you level up these forms by doing those quests, you unlock more forms to then do the same thing with those. So you'll unlock things like the guard, who's just like he's a knight with a sword, or the ranger, who's an archer. But then you'll unlock things like the slug that just cries tear bullets.
That slug is clutch.
That
Yeah.
slug is great. It also just like moves super fast and leaves a trail of slime that slows down enemies.
Or an egg.
Or an egg that you find different nests around the world, and you try different bird butts to see if it'll hatch you. So each of these forms has a suite of abilities. One that's locked to that form. So there is like necessity to use a specific form, but the other abilities can be swapped with any other form. So you can create your own classes and mix and match abilities to benefit your own play style. You'll get quests for different forms that will require abilities or passives from other forms to kind of teach you how to mix and match, and how the developers see certain forms can be built. So like one of my favorites is like there's a magician. His base attack is he just has like playing cards that he kind of just shoots out in front of him. Depending on what the card is, if it's a higher ranking card, it does more damage.
I didn't actually know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So like I feel like that never really comes into play, but it is something that's unique to that character. The first ability that you unlock is you pull familiars out of your top hat. So you'll pull rabbits out to fight for you. And sometimes you pull out tigers that do even more damage. So that character that character is very random in everything that it does. But also it gives you this base to start building a creature heavy character. So there's another character that's a zombie that lets you infect enemies, and as they die, they raise as zombies. And put that on the magician, and you just have an army of creatures fighting for you and just melting enemies.
Cool.
You're traveling around the world. You are trying to solve the calamity that's befallen the land. And in doing so, you are trying to collect these shards of this gem that's supposed to lock the calamity away. But you're finding different dungeons around the world, like you would in a Zelda game, to collect these gem pieces. And these dungeons are pretty standard. Like there's a couple floors of enemies that you have to go through to get to a boss. But each one has a special modifier that makes you change how you're playing the game. So constantly this game is throwing different reasons for you to change who your character is, what abilities you're using, to make you play around with its systems, and puts you in like these weirdly uncomfortable situations where you may be really good with this one character, but you have quests that you need to level up with another one. So you might be playing at a detriment, which will make the game a little bit more challenging for you. But also you're figuring out different builds that you could utilize for different situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's a super neat game. I like when I was playing it, I did not want to put it down. Exploring the world is it's a little bit iffy. I don't think that world is too. There's not a lot to do in it outside of like running from dungeon to dungeon. There are some enemies. There are a couple of like you can increase your mana pool if you find like certain fairies. There's some quests you could pick up, but all the quests and all of the like treasure chests in the game only reward you with like money, food, and experience, and
upgrade tokens
to upgrade your abilities. But you never get like anything special. You never get like a new ability from finishing a really hard quest. It's really like everything just kind of feels the same. It's just you're filling up your bucket of experience, which like you do get stuff from that. But I just wish that there was other stuff that you would get from completing challenges.
It reminds me of did you guys play the Swords of Ditto a few years ago?
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, it had the loot system reminds me of that, because that game was also a lot of coins exploding for almost everything you did. You're like, okay, I think I have enough of these. But
yeah, and it's like there is a satisfying reward loop there, and it did keep me playing through the whole thing. Like I pumped 20 hours into that game pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There were a lot of late nights.
I've only dumped a little bit of time into there. I got my first shard and I was very excited.
Yeah.
But part of what is already starting to perhaps worry me, and I don't know if you can speak to this having played the whole thing. I feel like there are instances, so far it's all pretty easy, but I feel like if there were a situation where I'm like, oh, I really don't love this move, and now I have to do it, like over and over again if I want to move. Like, is it that you are trapped into doing that for every single move, or can you kind of be like, I really don't like the ranger for whatever reason. I'm just never going to deal with her stuff? Or is it sort of like you have to do everything?
To a point. Because so there's a tree of forms to unlock, and you have to get to like a certain ranking with the previous form to unlock that. Some forms you actually need to do it with multiple characters. So like anything that's like touching that character on the tree would need to get like, let's say a B or C ranking, whatever it says on the line there. So if there is an ability that it is either like just really hard to pull off, like there aren't replacement like experience dumps to like bypass that. You have to do the quests that they give you for that class, which is I think a problem. Like there are places where that's not fun, or there's also going to be places in this game where you're gonna just bang your head against a dungeon for an hour or two.
They get hard, yeah.
They're tough. There was one that was late game where it increased the duration of status effects to like I think by like 1,000% or something. So everything in that that dungeon poisoned you, and so like no matter what, if you were poisoned, like you were almost dead. It didn't matter. But it works both ways. So it works with if you're poisoning them, if you're stunning them, if you're slowing them, if you have anything that is affected by status effects on enemies, like you can kind of play into that. You can lean into it and make it work for you. But I spent like a good 2 hours on that dungeon and just like carefully I'm gonna pick a ranged class. I'm gonna try to poison as much stuff as I can and like stay away from any harmful stuff myself.
Yeah.
So
and to build off that question, Jill, because I think I understood it, but tell me if I'm off too. So like John said, there's the guard and the ranger kind of trees, right? And if you hate the ranger, you can like more focus on the guard, because then the unlocks on that tree will still have the poison attacks, the sharp attacks, the blunt attacks, and whatever the light attacks or the four
magic.
Magic. Yeah, thank you. So it's like you just have to be content not unlocking that other side, right? Unless you can just grind a little bit with the ranger and then move up from there, type of thing.
There's also points where you'll level a character and you'll get a quest that's like, oh, use the rogue's cloak and dagger ability X amount of times. I haven't unlocked the rogue yet.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else. Like I need to switch my character and start figuring out a way to unlock that so I can start leveling this one up again. And I guess it's there were characters that I gravitated towards and ones that I used way more than others. Like I barely used like the turtle. Yeah. I barely used the mermaid unless I needed to like get across a body of water. Yep. Like there's ones that you could gravitate towards and use, but you will have to, if you want to unlock everything, you do have to level up all of these classes.
I sort of love the idea that you might be just slipping in random things that don't exist in the game, because all of these sound so absurd. It's like, I don't really like the turtle, but the mermaid,
Yeah, the money bag, the dog, the car.
I do have a question for you, John.
Yeah.
What character do you want to be in this game that's not in this game?
Oh boy.
I'll give you a second. I'll vamp for you while you think.
Please vamp for me.
Because there are so many classes in the wild world of Nobody Saves the World. And as somebody who has only played an hour, I have enjoyed my time playing the game. But John, I'm going to go back to you if you're ready. I'm going to end my vamping.
Yeah, I feel like there could be a bird of some sort. Like there are flying creatures, but I think they could do something cool with do like a flamingo or something.
Oh, okay.
Flamingos are cool.
Why not?
Yeah.
Or a kangaroo.
Yeah.
That's not a bird.
Like, what?
Listen,
they jump pretty high.
Yes. What classes? Like there's a horse in here.
I do like the horse.
The
I'm
horse
sort
is
of afraid of the horse.
I don't really like the horse.
Section where it seems like there's something.
Let me rephrase. I like the concept of the horse.
The horse twists your brain a bit
to control
because its main attack, you have to attack with its hind legs.
And I think that is cool that they did that. I don't think it works in execution.
Yeah,
at least
I just want to move around in it because it's fast, but the moment I see an enemy, I'm like, well, I guess I'm switching.
Yeah.
Which you could also just put like the slug ability on any other class and get that benefit. Yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had with this, and
it's deeper than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I like there is a new game plus, and the new game plus does have new like modifiers for all the dungeons, and I'm seriously considering playing that this weekend to see how far I could take this. I've unlocked all the classes. I have most of them up to S tier. just want to play around with the system some more and see what works, see what I need to play around with, and figure out those combat puzzles.
Is it possible to like straight up break the game? Can I like make a combination of abilities where you're like, I'm just like decimating everything? Does the game allow that?
The one that broke it for me was putting the zombie swipe onto the bodybuilder, and the bodybuilder has this like pump up ability. So you are creating zombies and then just decimating everything in your path and creating like 30 something zombies that follow you around. You could put a passive on there that whenever you do damage, it heals your familiars. So all of your zombies are constantly just at full health. Normally there's like a timer that like counts down until they die. But you can keep the uptime on those pretty long.
There's also like a similar thing with like rabbits, I think, that I heard a friend talking about.
That's good, because this reminded me of Inscription, like getting to make your own cards in Inscription by taking attributes from your deck, and you could just basically assemble just a broken card. Like, I was hoping it'd be something like that, and it sounds like it. You can get to that level.
Yeah, there are certain combinations that, if built in a specific way, like the ghost has an aura that can damage things. You can make yourself go intangible while also doing damage if you're touching anything.
Yeah.
And then do any other area of effect stuff. Like there's a bunch of combinations. If you play as the gopher, and you start digging holes around the battlefield, and you set fire to come out of the holes, this isn't real at all. I just wanted to prove Jill's point here.
I was ready to go with it. I'm like, okay.
All right. Yeah. I was like, he got a lot further than me. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, what did you give the game?
I gave the game an 8.25.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I like this game quite a bit. There are some things holding it back, especially with the world, and some of the rewards are unfulfilling, but the whole loop and combat system and the dungeons themselves are so fun. And I love getting to a new place to test my ability building skills. And I like that puzzle was what kept me going the whole time. I think it's great. I think the humor is good too. Like this is the studio that brought us Guacamelee. Like it's a funny game. I don't think there's any like super like this is the most memorable character of the year kind of writing, but like there are characters that made me chuckle quite a few times. So
yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, that's a great look. If you want to know more, you can go read his review on GameInformer.com. Video review is on the YouTube page. I'm really enjoying my time with it. I'm excited to play more this weekend. I know this whole panel has played an hour or two and is enjoying it as well. So, and condolences to Drinkbox for putting the embargo on the day that history had to be made for Xbox and Activision. Because this is a genuinely great game and I want to see people play it. So there you go. Marcus, take us home, my friend.
Yeah, so a couple things. So today I've been playing Windjammers 2, which is out today, or at least the time that you're listening to this. My impression should be up on the site now. Full review is coming. The reason there is no full review is that the online servers didn't go live until today. Okay. So I will be checking that out at some point. But my, real quick impressions. If you liked Windjammers, you will like this game pretty much. Cool. If I don't know if anyone here has played Windjammers, it was a 90s arcade game. Kind of a cult following, and then they re-released it in 2018 for modern consoles, and it kind of found a new audience there.
Giant Bomb for that.
Yeah, Giant Bomb especially. Yeah. And it is, if you have not played it, it is Frisbee meets air hockey, basically. You control two characters, or you control a character, and it's one-on-one, and you're just throwing a disc back and forth to try to score on each other's goals. You can ricochet a disc off the side. You can do crazy trick shots, loop-de-loops. The disc can catch fire, just all kinds of wild stuff until you beat, and it's like best 2 out of 3, basically. It is still fun. It is surprisingly deep. It's got a fighting game level of complexity to it in terms of the different shots and how to combine them. And there's a real. It's one of those games like it's pretty easy to pick up and play. But if you're playing against, or really if you're playing against the CPU, you can get spanked real quick because you realize like, hey, I got to know what kind of shot I need to throw and how do I respond to this shot. And I can combine because you can throw it. You can like spike it, like jump in the air and spike it. You can roll it like like when you roll a frisbee vertically, you can do that. You can smack it back instead of catching it. And kind of learning how to combine those moves because you're basically just trying to throw your opponent off, right? And because you're trying to throw it one way and they're going to defend the other one and they're going to leave themselves open. You're just trying to make them screw up so you score. And it's fun and challenging, especially the CPU is surprisingly hard, even on easy. You're going to get beat a lot. I certainly did before you beat the arcade ladder, which is actually pretty short.
Real Back for Blood situation again here.
Yeah, I guess we can call it that, The thing about this game, though, is that I think overall as a package, it's pretty slight. It's very bare bones in the way that almost like a throwback to an arcade game, because all you've got is your arcade ladder that, again, I said is very short. You've got an online mode, and you've got versus, and that's it. The only other thing you can do is look at the tutorial, which I'm not super satisfied with because for how complex this game can be, for the tutorial is just a bunch of slides of like, this is how you do a shot, circle and straight. And then it's literally just like, here's the entire game broken up into slides. And that, for me, as someone that kind of learns better by doing, having to try to memorize pages of like, wait, okay, this is a basic throw. And then, this is an advanced throw. And this is how you spin the disc. And try to remember, like, okay, now I'm going to go in the game. And then you're like, wait, how do I do that? Or how did he do that thing that I just saw? And it's also bad because there's no way to access the move list in the menu like the way you would a fighting game. Like, let me check my moves. Like, there were times where I played the arcade and was like, how do I do that one thing? And it's like, if I want to remember, I have to quit the arcade mode, which starts you over from the beginning, and then just to go peek for a second. I'm like, that's right. It was triangle to jump. Okay. And to me, that's a bit inexcusable, especially in an age with fighting games have gotten a lot better with their tutorials. I think MK11 especially is like, I think they have maybe the best tutorial I've ever seen for a fighting game. Because they break down each move, they let you try it out, and they contextualize why you would want to do this or the situations you want to do. And I think this game needs that. Because there's so many times an opponent would do a weird move to me, and I hadn't played Windjammers in a while. So it's like, wait, why would I want to spin the disc on the ground as opposed to throwing it? It seems like the same thing to me. What is the advantage? I don't understand. I wish there was something that better contextualized that. So I think especially if you're coming for the first time, you're going to get destroyed in that arcade mode. Again, even playing on easy, it is not easy, it turns out. And getting the disc past your opponent can be very frustrating because you'll throw all kinds of crazy shots and they'll still respond to it in a way where you're like, I feel like if it was against a person that would have thrown them off. You're like, they're way on the other side. I threw it to the corner and they still caught it. You're like, and then I'll throw something kind of basic and it'll go in. You're like, I guess they were sleeping on that one.
What is this game? Yeah.
So I wish that was better, and I just wish there was more overall. I think this is fun if you've just been wanting more Windjammers. I don't think this really changes up the formula in a significant way. There's some arenas that have little gimmicks, like there's a casino arena where like, the score value changes every time someone scores, almost like a roulette. So like last turn, the score goal was worth 1 point, and now it's worth 8 points.
Interesting.
So I got to respond to this now. But even though then the gimmicks are kind of small, like nothing super earth shattering. And like outside of like, beating the arcade a couple times, you're like, okay, I'm good. Maybe you'll play with friends and versus, but that's about it. So don't come into this expecting much else to do, basically, than throw a disc back and forth with each other. I think that's pretty much my biggest thing with it, but we'll see how the online is, see how latency, servers, all that good stuff, and maybe if there's a bit more to dig into there. I'm not expecting it, but I should have my full review hopefully up this weekend, but you can read my written impressions now. And the only other thing that I'm very excited about, because now I don't know if you guys can check your watches, but I believe it's a certain time.
Oh, what time is it?
I believe it's time to duel.
Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh.
Out today or yesterday, I guess. Now the time that you're listening to
Last
this. And I've made it clear that I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. John, you also enjoy the Yu-Gi-Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've only played a few duels. I've unlocked some packs. If you're not familiar, it's a free-to-play game. It's on everything, basically.
What's the
You
full
know?
title? Did you already say? Sorry.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was so taken aback by the intro theme that
Just
I lost it.
Yeah, it'll do.
Exciting.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Will do that to you.
Yeah.
And it's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, right? It's just a really nice Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. It's not Duel Link style. This is the traditional format, so not the speed duel style that Duel Links is. You got your both main phases, 5 monsters, all that good stuff. What I like about this game so far is one, that it's very snappy playing the game in a way that Duel Links is too. And also the presentation, like the different feels that you can have. Like this, where it seems like they splurge. Like the cards are nice high res. You can read some of them without needing to look at the actual like text box. And just seeing the way the field and the presentation reacts. So like, oh, I attacked the guy directly, and it just, the impact of like just slamming a card into him feels real good.
You see the ground crack as you're doing
Yeah.
damage.
That's dope.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you can buy little buddies that cheer you on from the sideline. Like I got Dark Magician hanging out on the side, and he's just like waving his wand around every time I do something.
Love it.
So
Yeah.
it's cool. I need to play more of it. But what you can say, Alex?
I was just saying, it's free to play, right? So there is
It is.
some of that cosmetic tomfoolery.
Yeah, you can buy. You do earn in-game currency. I haven't played enough to see if the monetization is aggressive. Of like, does it take too long to get stuff playing the game, or do I need to open my wallet? I mean, I'm probably gonna open my wallet, but that's just because I love the game.
Yeah.
So I just need to play more of it. But in the time that I've been playing, I've assembled a lot of gems, and I've bought like at least 30 packs, and I'm
Wow.
barely through the like one of the first solo campaigns. So that's a good sign. I've got a nice batch of cards. They offer you 3 structure decks when you start to kind of get you off the ground, and there are kind of varying skill levels to those structure decks, as well as eras. So like one deck is more for like, hey, did you play Yu-Gi-Oh! During the first anime and then drop off? Here's
Hello.
a deck that has, here's a dragon deck. It's got blue eyes. It's got kind of more first generation cards in there. The second deck is more like, hey, do you like 5Ds? You like Yusei and Synchro Summoning? This is basically that deck. And then the third deck is more current of like, hey, do you like Link Summoning and Vrains? Well, here's Playmaker's deck, basically. So I think that's a pretty smart way to get people on. And from what I've seen, the tutorial system is really extensive. So if you're completely new to Yu-Gi-Oh!, I think the game, from what I've seen, does a good job of walking you through how the card game works. But yeah, I'm going to be playing so much of this. I'm having a good time with it. I love that it's cross-play. So you can play
nice.
with anyone on anything. And even better, it's cross-progression. So with it being a free-to-play game, if I want to play on my PC and then transfer to just lay down and play on Switch, is really nice, or on your phone, or whatever it is you want to play it on.
Like it's on everything.
How about VR?
Listen, I can load it up on my
Your
Quest,
MetaQuest
my
2?
MetaQuest 2, blow it up to 100 inches or so, and I'll do it like I did with Magic last week. I'll watch videos about One Piece on one virtual screen, play some Yu-Gi-Oh! On the other.
Wow.
Yeah,
The
you would
future
think they
is
would do
here.
a native VR, given one of the most recent shows was literally Yu-Gi-Oh! In VR.
They could easily do a dual disc,
Yeah, please make that happen, somebody.
please.
But
I'm begging
yeah,
you.
Master Duel is cool. I just, like I said, it's just the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, but just a really nice version of it. I'll report back in a couple weeks. I'm sure I'll be bringing this game up on future shows, and we can get more of my opinions on like the monetization and stuff right now. But for now, nothing's raising any red flags. It seems like there's a lot of there's like a battle pass equivalent. There's a lot of different progress bars you're filling out that you're getting rewarded constantly. So it's like, hey, you did this thing in a duel, you special summoned a Link monster, or you beat this guy this way. Here's a bunch of gems. Like I said, I've gotten a lot in a short time. So
Nice.
I'm feeling rewarded for my King of Games level performance.
Oh, okay. A little
Mhm.
cocky right there.
I mean, I can't.
You're kind of being a Bandit Keith right now.
Well, Bandit Keith's a cheater, though. I don't have an American flag on my head.
I don't have any. I don't know what you've been up to in these duels. I can't. Not leveling any accusations against you, but you're being kind of a Bandit Keith right now.
I see.
Wow.
At least give me kind
Them
of.
fighting words, I think.
Yeah,
Are
we're
those
gonna have to
still those
settle this
fighting
in a
words?
duel, John.
You
banish
don't
you to the
say.
shadow
Wait till
realm.
I get this broken piece of crap. For all the listeners, I'm holding Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, which, if you're familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, it's been terrorizing the
It's
meta.
pretty broken. I just want to say I think it's really cool to see a client like this for Yu-Gi-Oh. I got my wish for this with Magic Arena a few years ago. That is its own issues now. But I think having a good readable, like, people could stream this game and you would be able to at least somewhat know what's going on. And I think that's hard to do with card games. And it's a genre that is I think works really well for esports, but it does have that readability issue. And I think having something that looks nicer, that hopefully they have like some sort of, I don't know what their plans are for like spectator modes or anything, but I feel like that would be a really cool thing to add to this, so people could watch like they would like Dota or something and kind of move around the screen and read cards and see what the hell's actually going on.
Yeah. Plus, Yu-Gi-Oh has the benefit of having 7 anime shows.
Yeah.
For like 20 years now. So there's just going to be different generations of players that will know certain cards because they watched a specific show.
Someone's just super into tuners.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, that I watched Arc 5. I know what pendulum summoning is."
Mhm.
Well, I do
Mhm.
now because we talked about it. So
Exactly.
yeah, cool. Well, I look forward to your write-ups on the site. Right, you're gonna write some stuff as you continue to go.
Yeah, probably it'll be my win-loss record, which will be there will be no losses.
Undefeated! Yeah. Sounds like a real, I don't know, Ash Ketchum. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. You're gonna get
Lost
they're
all
gonna-
the time. I don't know
Burn.
what you're talking
I
about.
want the internet to burn. Anyways, thank you, Marcus. I'm gonna be quick because I know this is already a long one and we still have community to do. I do want to update y'all on my progress on Horizon Zero Dawn. Guys, it's a
you
good
still
game.
love it, right?
It's a good game.
Good game.
I actually like it a lot more than the last time we talked. I
Okay.
really was feeling those first 5 or 6 hours. I was really like, what am I missing here? Like, what is not clicking about this? Because I really it was fine, but I really wasn't enjoying it like other people. Like some people were like,
Yeah.
oh, game of the year, like that.
It could
kind of
be
stuff, right?
frustrating, right? You're like, I want to like this as much as everyone else, but I'm just not
Yes.
seeing it.
Yes, because like combat was like good, right? Traversal is bad, as I said last time. I think it's bad. And then I got to the second half and Frozen Wilds, and I got the fast travel pack, and I listened to our community. And was it you, Marcus, or Kim, who said to treat it like a linear game, or Jill, maybe?
It might have been me.
I think you said that to me, actually.
Yeah, I think we just co-signed on you.
Yeah, there you go. and that worked. Like I am fully in now, and like seriously, like I'm thinking about this game on a daily basis when I'm not playing it now. And I think it's because a couple of reasons. I got to the point where the monsters got even bigger, right? The machines got even bigger and more like those combat encounters were more intense and more strategic and more fun for me, especially like the bear fights in Frozen Wilds. Oh, so good. Oh my goodness. I think having the fast travel pack helped infinitely because then I don't have to engage with the element of the game that I dislike, which is getting around the open world. So that helps. And then focusing on the story of the past and the more high concept sci-fi has I went from not really engaging with the side stuff to really reading all the text and reading and listening to the audio logs and really getting into what happened to this world that, and in the old ones, right? And now I am totally engaged with it and really enjoying my time with it, and I'm excited to finish it off. I think I have like 4 quests left. So It sucks that, it is an open world game, right? So it's like that it does suck that I don't enjoy those aspects of it. But now that I've focused in on the aspects that I do like, I really am excited not only to finish this, but then see where the story goes from there. Because I'm picking up pieces,
Do you think you'll be fatigued by the time Forbidden West comes out? Like, are you going to jump on that immediately, or are you going to cool off?
Depending on how review season goes, I think I am looking forward to it because I keep getting that. It was the same thing with playing Psychonauts in 2021 and then having Psychonauts 2 being right after, right? It's that idea of like, oh, this is going to be better or more fine-tuned. So it's like those aspects that I dislike,
yeah,
I'm really hoping are improved upon in the sequel. And I haven't been engaging a ton with the preview stuff for the next Horizon because I wanted to get my grasp in this first and then figure out what I dislike and hope, that some of those changes are coming. So we'll see. I know it's still open world, right? That's not going to change, but is it more fun to get around in now? Is some of the side stuff more meaningful? That's the stuff I'm looking forward to with this sequel. And I think if it hits that for me, if it can get me to engage with the open world more, then I think that's going to be even more of a fresh new experience. And I'm excited for it. The more hours I've put into Zero Dawn, the more I'm getting excited for Forbidden West. So.
I think one of the big game changers for Forbidden West came out like 2 weeks after Zero Dawn, and that's all the influence from like Breath of the Wild. Like it's a completely different kind of open world game, and really like for me shut down any interest that I had in Zero Dawn. Like hours into it. And like watching some early footage of Forbidden West back at like whatever PlayStation was showing off last year, like it does look like they've taken some of those elements and incorporated it into Forbidden West. It was also just a weird time for that first game. I was right there with you where I didn't really buy into it because it was so close to like the Tomb Raider reboot and kind of played similarly to that, but also like Zelda was doing something more my style right afterwards as well. So those two things just kind of like bugged me about it, and I think now coming in with a fresh perspective, I haven't really played anything similar to it recently. I think I could probably enjoy that, or at least try to enjoy it more. I also picked up Zero Dawn a few weeks ago.
Oh, nice!
And was getting through the beginning parts of that, and I was enjoying it more as well.
Nice,
so
good.
It's really just like if you're playing similar things over and over, like you just kind of get bored of it. So I'm also a little bit worried, I guess, for you then. If the new one does play similarly enough, if it does feel kind of samey.
I do think too, knowing the story now, because at the start of that game, right, it's very much humble beginnings, you're an outcast, there is that overarching mystery, but it's more focused on the present day, and I think the history is much more interesting. So now having that in my head, I think I would be more willing to stomach some of maybe those opening moments in the sequel, right? We don't know what that's going to look like, right? But like if it is a little slower start, I'm more like, I think I'd be more forgiving to keep going through that. So time will tell. February is quickly approaching, and but I'm really happy I'm playing it now. So I don't know about y'all. It's a great playlist. Thank you. I'm getting a little hungry. Alex, could you go get me a bowl of ramen, please?
Yeah, I actually haven't eaten the one that I started the show with. So.
You can just bring that over. So
it's dry now.
Cool.
It's evaporated.
Yeah, it's not looking too good, y'all.
Let's give Alex some soup belly. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the GI show. Alex is making just the thickest pot of ramen for everyone, so he went off to do that. We're all hungry here, so I'm sure you are too. Let's get you home. Let's get you through this. So, housekeeping. Alex usually does this. Maiden voyage for me. We'll see how it goes. I'm not unclean. I keep a pretty tidy house.
You have the same name. Like I'm pretty sure you're capable of doing this.
I was happy when Alex said, because like we both bemoan the fact that we have a lot of similarities in like video game taste and like that kind of stuff, and name, face, that kind of stuff. I was happy when he said swag. Yeah, exactly. I was happy when he said he liked soupy ramen, because I like the opposite. And I was like, we are different people.
You like a dry ramen. Okay.
Not like
straight out of the package.
Yeah. I like the crunch, you know?
I'm sad you guys have like twin syndrome. Like,
yeah.
I'm my own person.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
I
right.
have a twin, so I know how that feels.
Identical or
no? Totally opposite.
Okay.
Opposite twins. It's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Brother or sister?
Sister. Younger sister, much smaller, dark hair.
When you say younger, she came out first, or you came out first?
2 minutes older.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And you hold that over her forever, Lord.
Yeah,
forever, never.
Yeah. So thank you for watching the show, listening to the show. If you could leave us a podcast review, that would really help. I know we are coming up on, we're getting caught up on all the reviews. I think we have like 2 or 3 left. So if you're really enjoying the show, we appreciate it, and you want to leave us a 5-star review or whatever kind of review you want, we would love that. It helps us with the algorithm on Apple Podcasts, and now Spotify is also getting into the rating game a little bit, only on mobile, weirdly, but you can give us 5 stars on that, or 3 stars if you don't like it. You do you, but the reviews help. So please go give them. And if you give us an honest, good review, we may read it, like I'm about to do for Tyler Tokes. And over on Apple Podcasts, he gave us 5 stars and says, I've been a follower of Game Informer since I was very young and would get the magazines. It was always something to look forward to. Now I'm older and get that same feeling, but with the podcasts. I can't wait to listen to the new one each week. Everyone on the podcast is hilarious, but also informative. Thank you. You obviously aren't listening to me, and then, that's okay. I've learned about games I never thought I'd play through the podcast. Plus, the big man swag doesn't hurt. It only helps. That's the essence of big man swag. Thank you, Game Informer crew, for an amazing podcast. Thank you, Tyler. That's a very thoughtful, sweet message. So,
Tyler, I want you to review my life.
Yeah.
The life of Marcus. Yeah.
Please tell my wife that I am hilarious.
She knows that. That's why she married you, right?
She laughs at me every day.
Distinction is at you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we love those kind of reviews. If you genuinely enjoy the show, send one. We would appreciate it. But if you don't, that's okay too. There's plenty of video game podcasts out there. Weekly streams. Let's get into it. Mondays, Multiplayer Monday. We started it and then we stopped it because we had Monday off. But it's coming back next week. We haven't forgot what y'all voted on, which was Deep Rock Galactic. So I think we're gonna play that on Monday. Thursdays, either it already happened or it's going to happen, depends on when I get the podcast up. But these 2 gentlemen here and one Dan Tack have a stream plan. What are y'all playing?
Oh boy, it'll be Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
Yeah!
Sean, our time has come again.
Yeah, finally.
If you thought our duel during Extra Life was something.
Where's my Millennium Eye? It's right here.
I literally will never forget that because it tore a hole in my stomach.
Oh yeah, that was, well, you can't blame me for that.
Well, I can. You inflicted the pain on John, so
that's true.
Yeah.
And when you inflict pain on me, I inflict pain on him. That's how this works.
Thank you, Pegasus.
You're welcome.
So if you missed it, go to our YouTube archive or our Twitch archive. That should be up there. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see this one particular. But every Thursday we do a gameplay stream. If it's the new hotness of the week, if it's something silly that we can come up with, sometimes both, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stream that we're gonna do or have done. It's a good time, so check that out. Notable YouTube videos: we did the Nobody Saves the World video review that John wrote, which was very good.
Please watch it.
Please watch it.
Alex and I both worked very hard on it on a holiday. Please watch it.
Yes, we did. And you should check it out because the game's good. Then I also did a kind of a wish list for Halo Infinite that I posted on Monday. Halo Infinite, my game of the year, Game Informer's game of the year, but that doesn't mean it is above critique and things that we need to see from it. And I have a couple of ideas that I thought were pretty unique that I think could take that game to another level. So go check that out if you're still a Halo sicko like yours truly. And then Alex said he's getting up the video review for Rainbow Six Extraction. So a lot of good stuff on the channel. I mean, if y'all look at the reviews or the release schedule coming up, you know that there's going to be plenty more good stuff in the weeks to come. So, and we have a cover coming up, which I will not say what, but we may have some fun YouTube stuff for that too. Social media plugs. You can follow me, Studnik76, STUDNIK76. There is not a C in my name. I love y'all. There's no C. Van Aken, you can follow him at It's Van Aken. That one's pretty similar or pretty I can't talk. It's getting late. It's there. John Carson, you can follow him at John Carson _Carson.
Thank you.
Which I'm surprised that no one else took that. It's pretty
Oh,
clean.
believe me, I tried all the other John Carsons. There are a few famous ones. There's a fiddler. There's a talk show host.
Unfamiliar with that one.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, I've literally had since like MySpace was a thing. There's an Alexandra Statnik who takes my stuff too. So it's like she and I've had this duel for literally our entire lives, and I don't know if she's aware of me, but I'm aware of her. And
is she like the optional female character version of you? Is
correct.
She like the Cassandra to your Alexios?
Oh, the better one, literally the better version, probably.
She's having the cooler story.
I think she even did because I think I saw her on LinkedIn too, and she had like a comm degree like I do and stuff. And I don't know, it's bizarre. So
parallel lives.
Yeah, for real. You can follow Jill at FinRuin, and then Marcus Stewart at Marcus Stewart 7. Which are there 7 Marcus Stewarts?
Yeah, it took the first 6 were failures, and then lucky number 7, they got it right. As you can see, and then they stopped after that.
Perfection.
They were like, we're done. Yeah.
I love
Cool.
how everyone else's is just sort of normal in their names and stuff.
And yours is FinRuin.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think I've asked you what the inspiration for that is before.
Yeah, it's because I'm nerdy.
Okay.
And a big Tolkien fan. And if you look at the back of the Silmarillion, you will find several different parts of words you can put together. And mine happens to be a name I made up for myself when I was quite young.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
That's dope.
That is less embarrassing than most people's first screen names.
Yeah, for real.
I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that wraps up housekeeping. I hope I didn't burn the house down. We're all still here, so that's good. Let's get into it, baby. Listener emails, listener questions. This is the best part of the show. I don't care about your news, your playlist. Give me the community questions, baby. We're here.
Gobble them up.
Yeah. And as part of this, before we get into this week's, we have to announce a winner of something. So last week.
Oh.
No,
Yes, we
Right.
do.
No,
yes,
hey,
we do.
I don't think we need to.
Last week, we introduced the spectacular video game draft of 2018. We did basically a big fantasy draft of all the games, and you, the community, voted for who you thought was the best. And do you want to know who the community thought was the best, John Carson? Do you want to know? Because I'm about to tell you. You ready for this? They didn't vote for you. They didn't vote for Kim. They didn't vote for anyone. They voted for Big Al, baby. That's right. I am the winner of the 2018 draft spectacular.
I wish audio listeners could see how closely you zoomed in on your face. Just there.
I had to really get into
I
it.
felt it.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd like curveball and be like, Dantac.
That would have been amazing. So John and Kim were very scary in this race. This was a close race for 3 of us. Shout out to Alex and Ben Reeves's lists. They were good.
They're great. Yeah,
They were.
It's a great
Just
year.
didn't have the je ne sais quoi that John and I. So to remind people really quickly, I know this is a long episode, but we each drafted 5 games, and then the last game had to be from the top 10 worst games of that year. So Van Aken drafted Celeste, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Shadow of the Colossus Remake, Dead Cells, and The Quiet Man. Johnny Carson, the man himself, drafted Smash, Forza Horizon 4, Into the Breach, Dragon Quest 11, which I totally forgot was on there, and then One Piece Grand Cruise. Boo, One Piece Grand Cruise. Reese drafted God of War, Hitman 2, Tetris Effect, COD Black Ops 4, and Hollow, not associated with Hollow Knight, we found out. K-Star, Kim Wallace, drafted Red Dead 2, Monster Hunter World, Return of the Obra Dinn, Life is Strange 2, and Shaq Fu, which is a good list.
That's undeniable. That is an undeniable list.
It's a great list.
An amazing list.
And then I wrap this up with Marvel's Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Florence, Dark Souls Remaster, and I sold my soul to the frickin' devil and picked Super Seducer, which is some shovelware garbage that I'm sure is very problematic. So
apparently had a lot of fans out there.
Yeah, apparently. Van Aken Ben came in last with 3 votes, which I thought with God of War he would definitely do better. Van Aken next up with 4, and then John and Kim tied at 10 apiece, which I was very surprised about. And then I came in first with 16 votes.
I want to say you were at less than 16 until I started trying to butter up the constituency.
What? They were like, no, there's too much brown nosing here. Like we'll go for the
I had to see what the limit of the community was, and apparently it was kind words.
Doesn't fly in our community. I knew our community loves the AC, right? They love the From games, right? So I was like, I get those 2 in, and then I get a little spicy at the end, and then like Spider-Man. I thought I had a good list. I had a good shot. So
yeah, my strategy was which games do I want to play from this year? Which it worked out pretty well. I got a quarter of the votes or so.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's going to be my strategy moving forward for these drafts if I'm invited back.
Yes. I think you will be if you can handle my tomfoolery and my BS. But
yeah, well,
I almost voted. I looked over into Discord and then realized that I did not want to have to explain myself to 4 of you. So I abstained from voting.
I mean, now that voting is finalized, who's your pick?
Actually, I think Kim's was the one I was leaning a little bit more towards. She had like you said, kind of a banger. Even Shaq Fu for being garbage is like fun, ironic garbage.
Yes. Yeah. It's got Shaq. Yeah.
It does have Shaq. He went through 2 tables last year at AEW. I mean, come on.
Bless his soul.
Yeah, Kim may be the winner in my heart.
Okay. Well,
but congrats to you, Alex.
Thank you. Jill, would you have a vote, or are you abstaining in this one too?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay neutral. I don't want to have any conflict of interest going forward.
Fair.
I will say I would like to see this done again, but with 2014. I think that would be a very fascinating draft.
Okay. Well, I'm sure y'all will be on some of these drafts coming up, because it sounds like it was the community liked it enough to keep it going. So, And shout out to Draft Punks, right? They do the draft. Shout out to The Big Picture is a movie podcast that a lot of podcasts do the draft style, right? But I think it's fun. So
very fun.
Yes, but everyone got to vote on it in Discord because Discord, Discord, great place to be. A lot of fun. You can get that by subscribing over on twitch.tv/Game Informer. One time it'll get you right in. Also, because Twitter is dumb, because I was going to do a Twitter poll and you can only have 4 options for the poll. So that's
bad. And you can't have a picture on the poll. So if you were to put that image up, wouldn't have worked.
You should start a new Twitter poll that says, should we vote for a 5th slot in Twitter polls?
Have you tried it on Parler? To see if
Yikes. No, I abstained from putting anything on Parler. Thank you very much. But this is, you can also, so if you want to send us listener questions like we're going to do here shortly, you can go over on Discord and submit them there, or you can send it to podcast@GameInformer.com. We'll take everything: hopes, dreams, questions, games. No one sent a game in a while, so if you have a good game, send it our way. So but a nice mix this week. Obviously, this is a long show, but we got to get the community in here. So
come on in.
This one is from Rocket Party over on Discord. And Rocket Party says, yo! So everyone's going crazy for this Microsoft deal. So here's a real burner of a question. Ready? We're gonna get into like the macroeconomics of this. Ready?
Yes.
What is your guilty pleasure fast food order? Mine would be 2 McDonald's cheeseburgers and a medium fry. Great question. Personally,
great question.
I think this is wonderful. I can kick this off if y'all need a minute.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is a new one, right? When I was a kid, there's a reason I'm the size I am, right? But as a kid, we used to do the McStanky, right? Where it was you got a McChicken, and you got a McDouble, and you get a crap ton of barbecue sauce. and then you take the bottom bun off of both. Unless you want to do it Big Mac style, you leave the bottom bun on one, and then you combine the two.
Yeah.
And then you eat it, and you put the barbecue sauce to kind of like, put it all together, and then you eat it like the animal that you are, because high school boys are stupid. That was a guilty pleasure, and I'm sure probably took like 10 years off my life, if we're being completely honest.
Honestly, have you ever tried it as an adult?
I think I literally would die, because that was the time too where you would like do every pop in the in your So this was also, it had like high C, like fruit punch, like all the Sprite, the whole thing. I am convinced I'm gonna die at 42, but that's besides the point. So recently though, if I'm really feeling it, it's always Taco Bell. You got to go to the Bell.
Yeah.
You go get the cheesy gordita crunch. You go get the not the cheesy gordita crunch. Recently, I've been getting the grilled cheese burrito, which is just a greasy pile of amazingness.
That thing is so good, but you feel horrible afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
I think that's my favorite new addition to the Taco Bell menu. And then a crunch wrap just for good measure if I'm really like depressed or starving. So
I'm jealous you still have it. Down here they took it off the menu.
Really?
We don't have it anymore.
Grilled cheese burrito?
Yeah, they replaced it with another new thing.
I thought it just came back as a monthly item.
I feel like it just got here.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a region thing, because I had it like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
I missed the boss wrap, which was like their crunch wrap with different toppings. So they had one that was like the cheesy gordita crunch, like spicy sauce, but also with potatoes and cheese.
Whoa.
So good.
I don't think I ever had that.
And bacon. It had bacon in it too. Real good, but they only had it for like a month, like 5 or 6 years ago, and never brought it back. I didn't buy enough, apparently.
Okay.
No.
You're the problem there.
Yeah. I mean, I have a guilty pleasure from damn near every fast food chain. Let's see here. The one I used to do 7-8 years ago was get like the 2 for $6 Domino's deal and get a thin crust pizza and a regular crust pizza and eat the thin crust as my appetizer.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Was
That's-
not expecting
that's
that.
flex.
And then make it like part of the way into the other one. Otherwise, like if I'm just like going for like a greasy meal, I'll go to Five Guys. I'll get a bacon cheeseburger and a fry from there. And that's a meal for like
The bacon cheeseburger
One
that you have
fry.
to excavate from the mound of fries.
damn right you do. A bacon cheeseburger that's actually a double because they just don't want to put that in the name.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
really
you
define what
always
it is.
forget that. Like, I didn't order a double.
No, it's what? So much meat. But yeah, that's those are my guilty pleasures.
Those are good. Yeah. Marcus, Jill, either you want to go?
Man, I've got I will say when I was a teenager in the 2000s, when you're younger and you can eat anything.
True.
When
It's
this is
those
also
days.
the only time I was really into Burger King. I did not like Burger King now, but in the 2000s they were like on point.
It
And I
was
was like,
real good.
yeah, this is like pre-Supersize Me too. Keep that in mind. The documentary, I mean. So this is when everyone didn't care about portions and killing you. But I would go to Burger King, and my go-to meal was always to get a double Whopper with cheese.
Yes.
Cheese is important. You gotta
Same.
get large fry,
Uh-huh.
which comes with the equally large drink that's basically a swimming pool in a cup. And then I would get the mozzarella sticks that they used to have. People might not remember that there was a time where Burger
Nope.
King had like mozzarella sticks and like jalapeno poppers and stuff.
They still do. They do now.
Did they bring them back? I haven't been in a long time.
Ooh,
Okay.
Okay.
We've come back. All right. We've come full circle.
Come
Yeah.
full circle.
Yeah, they went away when.
It's on point again though. Like Burger King is good again.
Okay.
So
That's
you
it. Went
should
away
check it
when, the America is overweight stuff started popping off and people
Yeah,
were suing fast food restaurants. So I would get mozzarella sticks, and then I would always finish it off with a Hershey pie, the little Hershey pies that they would have there for a while.
My God, Marcus. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just down that. And this was
The
also when
growing
I was in Boy Scouts too. So we would do road trips to like a campsite or whatever, and we would always stop at like Burger King usually for whatever
Mhm.
reason. And since I was like, all right, this is going to be like quote unquote the best food I'm going to have for like a weekend because I'm going to be eating like camp food, I'm just going to load up. So that was also my mentality. Like, enjoy it now because tomorrow night I'm going to be eating some crappy fish that I caught.
Okay, I get that. Yeah.
So that was that for a while. And then, these days, like, Taco Bell is probably my fast food of choice. It's the only fast food place I legitimately get excited when there's like a new thing, like the grilled cheese thing. I miss the Mexican pizzas they used to have. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they used to be a go-to for me. And then
they had fried chicken like 2 weeks ago.
I tried it. Have you tried their chicken wings?
I missed it. Was it good? I was on lockdown.
It was Alex, you seem surprised, Joe. Yeah, they have. I believe as of now, they have queso crusted, flavored, or whatever chicken wings, like fried chicken wings.
Are they good?
It's like queso seasoning.
Okay,
it's fine. I'm actually a little disappointed. Where like it tastes fine, but it's also like not remarkable in any way. It's not like
chip and Doritos.
I feel like if it's edible, that's a win. Like I don't know if I'd ever get wings from Taco Bell.
You know how good the nacho fries are, and that tastes distinct. Like, oh, this is a Taco Bell French fry. It doesn't taste like.
Yeah,
it's not that. I was hoping that level of like, ooh, zestiness with the chicken wing. To me, it tastes like a very good 7-Eleven chicken wing. You go to 7-Eleven, you got the little chicken wings in a cup. It's like that, but like maybe a bar better.
Okay.
So it's worth trying once just to
they might be just perfecting the recipe now.
Okay.
Make a Cool Ranch chicken wing.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's now that you say that, the Doritos Locos Tacos. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. When those first came out, I was in college and I made it an event where I'd like in between classes, like, we have to go get this. Like they just start like the day they introduced them, we got those. And then when Cool Ranch happened, same thing. And I wish they would bring back Cool Ranch.
I wish they would bring back so they used to make cheesy gordita crunches with fiery tacos with the fiery shells, and it was like the best.
The cheesy gordita crunch in general. I remember when I was a kid when they first introduced that, and I was amazed. Amazed the concept of putting a hard shell with a soft shell.
I cannot go to Taco Bell without getting that. Like that is my go-to. That is like the crown of my meal, and then everything else is secondary.
Like the meal works its way up to that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, how hungry past this taco am I?
Yeah. Jill, how about you? Or Marcus, do you have any others?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Outside of that, maybe like the chicken nugget meal from McDonald's.
Always a classic.
Also, I missed the 20-piece nuggets. Bring that back.
McDonald's. There you go.
All the
nuggets. Yeah.
Jill,
are you just disgusted with us at this point, or do you have a guilty pleasure one?
Here's the thing. Everyone listening is going to absolutely hate me. I cannot remember the last time I had fast food.
Wow.
Because I live in the Bay Area. There's way too much good, delicious, fatty, greasy food that is not chain related that I have to try every single thing, and I will never run out before my life runs out.
That's fair. Like we at least Alex and I are in the middle of the heartland, and all that we have. Tundra. We have just heart problems around here. Like that's
that's why they call it the Heartland.
That's what the Heartland means.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, what about not even In-N-Out?
I you're gonna make people hate me.
It's coming.
California is known for its In-N-Out. People are like, oh, go to In-N-Out, but it's fine objectively. Like I do enjoy a Five Guys better. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
But I think as both the chains kind of continue their legacy, it gets more and more chainy and less like whatever made it original and happy. Yeah. But I did, when the Doritos tacos for Taco Bell came out, I absolutely did try those out. So that I'll use that as my answer.
There you go. Okay, I can dig it.
Yeah. I agree with you on In-N-Out. I had it for the first time last year when I went to the Bay. I was like, oh, this is good, but it wasn't like, life changing.
I like the burgers. I don't like the fries.
I've heard
the fries are like cardboard.
Yeah, I've heard to get them animal style is the play.
Yeah, you have anything there.
I went with someone that knew to ask for that, so she introduced me.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of a podcast called Doughboys, and they review chain restaurants every week. So with a previous job, I was traveling all around the country, so I was trying to hit every regional fast food chain that I could while I was there. Like, I didn't have much time to like explore, so it's like, oh, find a Whataburger, find a Steak and Shake, find a local Shake Shack or something. So like In-N-Out was my holy grail. when I went out to California. And I was always like, whenever I went out there, I was in the middle of a city and like too far away from one, but eventually got there, and yeah, it was good. Fries aren't great though.
We had it in Vegas when I went like 5-6 years ago, and I really liked it. But I am also easily entertained. So, little hot take before we get off this. I think Doritos Locos are garbage. Moving on to the next one. Hey guys, this one is from Logan over on Discord. It says, "Hey guys, do you ever fall into what I'll call a gaming slump? Nothing interests you. You're not really in the mood to game, and you've been feeling, but you have the feeling that you should. Have you experienced this? If so, how do you bounce back?" This is a great question because I feel like I experience this a lot, especially working in games. But I started last time, so if anyone wants to jump in, Jill.
Yeah, I mean, that's super, super relatable. I feel even when it's something that I was doing just for fun, there were times when I wasn't feeling it. And now that it's my job, it does feel like there's a part of when you make your hobby your job is your hobby, and doing your job is the fun playing games. But then when you do stop to play games, your fun time is now partially your work time as well. Yep. So I do get into that immediate anxiety that I have to sort of jump over getting into a game on sometimes when that's not connected to work, because I'm like, I really should be playing something that is going to be part of a conversation that I need to have, that's going to be part of the discourse that I need to be prepared for, instead of like, here's this like fun indie game. Like right now I'm playing Witchwood, which came out kind of later in the year last year, and very fun. Everyone should go and play it. But I feel kind of guilty playing it because I'm not going to write about it. I'm not going to so I have those moments where there's a lot to play, and I know I should be playing everything. So there's sort of a like decision paralysis of it, but there's also a sort of a guilt associated with playing something that's 100% just for me to have fun.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Marcus.
I think when I first started like freelancing, it was something like what Joe was saying about like that separation of work from, I guess, play. That took a little bit to get over. It's not as much an issue now. I'm pretty good at like knowing like I have no intention of doing anything with this game. I just want to play it. Mm-hmm. and I keep in the back of my mind, like if something comes to mind that I like, if I see something, I'm like, oh, I'll write about that. But like I try to not make it a priority, because there was a time when I would always be like, all right, you got to study this because you might get a feature idea. But also when you're a freelance, you're like, I need money. So like I need something to come out of this game, please. I feel like I'll feel those slumps around this time of year. Actually, I felt it like the January when you're kind of starting fresh. Because for me, doing this job, I'm so focused on always trying to play the newest thing. And most of the games I play in any given year are the games that came out that year. And like it's not often, or maybe not as often as I would like, or like I'm just gonna play something from the previous year or like further back in my backlog. So when the new year starts and it's like, oh, I did everything and there's nothing new coming out yet, what do I do now? Like that feeling. And I've had that the last couple of weeks, and the way I guess kind of get over is that I'll sometimes just fire up random games and play them for like an hour or like a little bit. Because it kind of, along with that is that guilt that knowing that you have this giant backlog, that you have this window that you could be tackling, and you're like, but I'm not going to play it. Like, this is the time to do it. So it's like, okay, let me touch some of these at least. And then maybe I'll find something that like hooks me, right? So like we talked about this on the GI show a couple episodes, right? Where I was talking about the games I played over break and how I touched a bunch of stuff. I'll do that now. I'm like, oh, here's a thing I just got in the Epic Store. I'm just going to install it. And also Halo has helped with that, like the multiplayer. Like I finally have, it's gotten its hooks in me finally, because I've been playing it with a friend group, and I'll play it on my own time, and it's like, okay, I know I want to play something, but maybe I don't have the bandwidth right now to play like Tales of Arise, which I'm still working through, like a big single player RPG, or deal with Returnal's heartbreak of failing again. But like Halo, that's a mindless thing. I'm just gonna run around, shoot, and then that can kind of get me in the mood to play games, and then I'll move on from that to something else. Like, oh, I'm gonna fire up Eastward now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I kind of have to dip my toes sometime to other things, and then I'll kind of get the engine warm.
The juice is going again.
Yeah,
for sure. Cool. Sean, how about you?
I'll go quickly. I'm in a constant slump all the time. My friends and wife make fun of me for never finishing games because I'll start things. I'm like, yeah, I played like an hour or two of it, and then I'll fall off of it. But I think in the last 7-8 months, however long I've been with Game Informer, I think that's helped quite a bit. Like of having a reason to play something and finishing more games for review or for talking about it on the show or just casually with my coworkers. And yeah, that's helped quite a bit. If I'm ever in a slump though, I just try something else. Watch a movie, watch wrestling. I usually just have like YouTube videos or Netflix or something on one monitor, and I'll play Magic on the other. Like that's kind of my go-to. If you have like that default state that you could just go and chill and do something, it's you don't have to be playing something at all times.
No.
Yeah, that's important. Like, don't force it.
No.
Yeah.
That's
And then one of the things that gets me most excited to play a game is hearing other people who are excited about a game they're playing. So a lot of the times, if you step away, maybe watch podcasts of people talking about awesome things they're playing, and then maybe that'll reignite your interest, and you're like, I really gotta check this out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's a good call. Yeah, I think it was when I started over 2 years ago here. I think it was Joe Juba who told me, just like, go cold turkey. Like you're slumping, right? Instinctually something is wrong, right? You're eating too much of the cheesy gordita crunch here, right? So it's like, take a break, No such thing. Yeah, it's true. Bad.
Try a Doritos taco instead.
Yeah, you'll hate it. And I really had to learn, because I was like, I want to be on the timeline. I want to be talking with Jeff Grubb and Greg Miller about like the games and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I wanted to be in that discourse, right? But it just, every year so far, it has burned me out at the end of the year. And I think that is why I started reading for fun. Because I didn't read for fun ever, because reading was hard for me growing up. And I just needed something. I needed to get away from a screen, and it didn't matter, movie, TV, it didn't matter. I needed to get away from it, and finding reading has been a huge saving grace, because not only you can because then you can engage with games on a different way. Like, I've read Ask Awada now, and that book is fantastic. There's great gaming books out there, but there's also great fiction and nonfiction that these creators are also reading from as well and inspiring their games. So it's like, you can engage with games on a different level too that way, which is cool. Or you can completely, separate yourself. I just read through a book called Under the Whispering Door. It was fantastic. You should all go read it. It's about death, but it's happy, and it's very good.
Yeah, it's a good call. Books are great.
Yeah,
I love reading. And just taking a walk. That's one of my go-tos. It's like, I will just literally just go out for a walk.
I see you do that like quite often. You'll just mention in Slack that you're stepping out for a walk. I'm like,
or when you're watching him go take a walk from like
the bushes.
Yeah.
Oh man, but my husband and I, we went out hiking this weekend. We found a trail near our house, and I'm dead. My legs are killing me. So don't push it too far.
Yeah.
I went on a trail during our Martin Luther King break. And I got to look like a cool guy because this trail had a fallen tree across like a river. And this isn't like a deep river. And if you fell in, you'd be up to like your knees, maybe. But I was like, I haven't done this in a while, like cross a precarious ledge like that. And I've played enough video games now where I know how to balance. And I have good balance in general. But I like intentionally waiting because there was like a family with like 2 kids. I was like, I'm gonna wait so they can see me, so they can acknowledge like, well, look at this cool guy, he's so daring. And then but that's the danger. Like, if I slip and totally eat it, it's gonna be in front of them. But that thrill was like, exciting of like, this could go horribly sideways. And
at least they could help if you fell.
True. That's true. If I get whisked away by the
me, I would be like, I don't want anybody to see this. I'm gonna do this when no one's watching, and then I'll get myself into trouble if I'm hurt.
Okay. No one knows. I was like, I hope I'm setting a bad example for your kids. They're going to want to do it now.
Yeah,
Like, he did it.
absolutely. That's
There
what
we
Those
they
go.
kids
wanted
are going
to
to
do
start
immediately.
smoking cigarettes because they saw you.
Right away. Yeah.
Not because I'm smoking it, it's because I'm so distressing that they take
You're
up
just
smoking.
so cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I think, your body's and your mind is telling you something if you're feeling a gaming slump. It's like, if it's a passion of yours, you'll come back to it, right? It's not, if you stop playing, you're not going to stop playing forever, or maybe you will, who knows? And life
you
is
don't
better
have
that way.
you don't have to be caught up on every conversation. You don't
No.
have to be the
Yeah,
master of
especially if you don't do this job.
Yeah, for real. Well, even if you do it too, like I remember Destiny 2 went to Game Pass and they announced Witch Queen or whatever, and everyone was talking about Destiny. Everyone on the timeline. And I was like, I'm missing out on this. And then it passed, and I was like, oh, my life's pretty good without it. You know, not that Destiny's bad, right? Or that I think it's bad, right? It's just not something for me. You will survive the little bit of FOMO that you see on the timeline, I promise. And then you can go climb trees like Marcus. That's what the cool kids are doing, I've heard. So cool. One more. Let's do it relatively quick because this episode is probably going to be 2.5, almost 3 hours.
That's fine.
We're getting into Tolkien territory here, so that should excite Jill. The
Is
last
it,
one
is it a
we'll
question about the Microsoft and Activision merger?
It is not.
Okay.
A lot of
Okay.
great questions this week from chat or from Discord on that. I hope we answered a bunch of them, but if not, come back next week with those questions in Discord or at the email. But this one should go pretty quickly. This one is from Brandon Toller over in the world of email. It says, hey, GI crew, Brandon from Cincinnati writing in again. Congratulations on your Bengals, by the way. I cannot stop listening to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy original soundtrack. Wanted to see if you guys had a top 3 list of original soundtracks you love. It's from Brandon. I feel like video game soundtracks, I have a lot. We could talk about this for a while, but like quick hitter, I think Halo 2 soundtrack and then now Halo Infinite soundtrack are absolutely incredible. Ori and the Blind Forest / Will of the Wisps, easy, like I have on rotation all the time. And then Celeste I have on rotation a ton. So I think those are probably quick hitters of some of my favorites. So John, how about you?
Yeah, I would say Persona 4 is a banger. Just that main battle theme is, I could just listen to it on repeat. I don't think I have like 3 of my go-tos. My real go-to is the VVVVVV soundtrack, which is entitled PPP. But I was listening to it the other night.
Are you making things up again?
No, it's a great soundtrack. Go listen to that.
Okay.
Maybe takes 20-25 minutes or so, but
Okay.
great chiptune soundtrack. Endlessly listenable. Even like a decade after that game's release, I'm still listening to it, and yeah,
Cool.
It's great.
Nice. Cool. Marcus, how about you?
Today, because it changes all the time, it'll be for sure Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is arguably my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Very on brand.
Every track is a banger. I love listening to remix versions of it, especially a guy named T-Lopes, who's like pretty famous Sonic remix composer. He did the soundtrack for Sonic Mania. His remixes are great. Check them out.
Cool.
Chrono Trigger is up there.
Yep.
And then for maybe a little bit of a curveball, I really love Mega Man X4's soundtrack.
A deep cut.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the X4, the first PlayStation X game.
Yeah.
I think underappreciated. Maybe because I loved X4 as a kid. I played the crap out of it. But the soundtrack is so good. And Mega Man is one of those series that usually is known for its soundtracks. But X4 has some bangers, especially if you want a song to relax to. The Frost Walrus stage, the second version of it. It's just a great chill out, literally because it's an ice stage. But video game ice music is usually really good. But Frost Walrus stage, version 2, perfect decompressor. So yeah, shout out to X4.
Cool.
I would like to add X1 as my third one. Just hands down one of the best soundtracks of all time.
I would like to add DMX. X gonna give it to you. Rest in peace. Jill, take us home. What do we got?
Oh man, now I can't get Tolkien out of my head. So Howard Shore, shout out hardcore.
Shout out. Yeah.
Oh my god. I used to commute very long hours, and I have only one CD in my possession. which I put in, and it happens to be the soundtrack for The Witcher 3.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, right.
So when I think about soundtracks, that is exact, and I just run it through my head over and over and over in hours long loop. But if you want to talk about a game, this may be controversial. A game that you cannot get the songs out of your head, it is Yoshi's Island. 100%
Ooh.
Yoshi's
Ooh.
Island soundtrack.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll have to take your word for it. I don't
You're not
remember
talking
the
about Mario crying, right?
You can't get that out of your head. I'm not gonna lie, but no, like the actual like soundtrack to that game is Chef's Kiss.
Chef's Kiss.
That
Okay.
menu music is so happy. The opening menu music.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll remember it when I boot it up again, but I can't sitting here remember it, but I'll take your word for it.
Once you listen to it, you'll never get it out again.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
beware.
So this is a warning. Yeah.
Fourth choice, Katamari Damacy.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah.
I'd say fourth choice, everything Supergiant does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all their games are
Yeah.
fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Transistor, maybe my favorite. I think Transistor has an amazing soundtrack.
I missed Transistor. It was on sale for like $2 on the eShop, and I missed it. I haven't played it yet, so I will do that. But I'm also going to get us out of here because this has been a beautiful, big show. We've talked a lot about some great stuff, some interesting stuff. Hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You know the drill at this point. The reviews help. Everything you guys do and support us really helps. So genuinely, we appreciate it a ton. So thank you. Be good to one another, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Hey, Van Aken, where the is my ramen?